appreciator, huh? Oh, come on! What the hell? Beef jerky?
Oh, no, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh.
Lion dog face pony show.
Looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
A dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Tell him what time it is.
All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
Mr. Secretary, nice to have you on again. Are these economic experts I just cited wrong in your view about a recession?
I think they're not.
All right, we're ready to get started. We're up on, let's see, Substack's up, Instagram's up, it's up. If you're on Substack, just send me a heart or something like that in the chat, or a big thumbs up, or maybe right where you are if you're in the chat room on Substack, just to let us see you. I don't know what the algorithm business is over there on Substack, but it's got to, I think, respond to a little bit of tickling. You know, tickle that algorithm for me. Come on. How about in the chat room on the regular? Let everybody know we're here. I started an hour early yesterday. Today starts an hour and change later. I had a little kerfuffle to deal with. Lots of storms in the Midwest and around my family, so had a lot of checking in to do. All right, one more second and I'm up. Excuse me. It's around, put this over here, drop this, put that thing over here. Oh, yes. All right. Let's try and look smooth. Let's try and do a show. Come on, welcome everybody. My little fade button that I built, I spent so much time working on it and it doesn't work, but it just means I get to talk over the music until I click something and it goes like this. Hi, everybody. Welcome to HalSparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. If you are on Twitch, you can subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. I'm getting that patter's pretty good. I feel like I could tighten it up a little bit, and I'm obviously going to need to. I think it's a good time, as good a time as any, to start the show off in a way that I used to. I mean, sometimes you got to go back to your roots, folks. You got to go, you dance with the one that brought you, and if you're going to slide out into somebody else's DMs, don't forget to close the drapes, and if the houses are rocking, don't come and knock it. Something along those lines. But what I would like to say is, it's an oldie but a goodie. If at any time, because Trump is going to cadaver the goddamn economy, and we're all in this together, this asshole has basically jump-started economic COVID. And if it has the impact on the economy it's going to have, and people are like, holy shit, I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I have anxiety about this stuff. I'm afraid. And you contribute to the show, or you're a Patreon subscriber, or you're a member on YouTube or whatever. I don't want you to feel a moment's hesitation to stop. Only help the show and give super chats and that kind of stuff if you can do it freely without wincing. If it causes you any concern whatsoever to contribute to the show in any format, and I mean this, take a break. Just know that I will get by. I can tighten my belt just like the rest of us in response to reality. But I want you guys to know that the whole purpose of this show is to alleviate some of that anxiety and give you some tools to deal with it and some information you're not getting elsewhere and a myriad of other things. But I am telling you that if it adds to your anxiety in any way, then it's not it's counteracting the purpose of the show. I would never want that. So just to be abundantly clear, if you can't afford to help out with the show and all that kind of stuff, I swear to God, if you can't give a super chat or be a Patreon, any of that stuff that helps the show keep going, honestly, your version of super chat is go help a neighbor during this shit, because the shit's gonna hit the fan and it's gonna be fucked up, and I just want I would rather the help no matter what. So that I mean that genuinely. I'm not, I need you to know that, because I know some people feel, especially during times like this, they really start to that anxious feeling, and rightly so, starts to grow. So I genuinely want you to know that the show is here to add something to your life, never to take away. So if it starts to take from you because you're, then take a break, don't watch, sit it out, watch but don't contribute. It doesn't matter. You don't have to type shit or whatever. If you want to, if you need to vent, also that's good. But again, the purpose of the whole show is to make you laugh and give you a perspective on this, and maybe take some of the anxiety of this whole situation off your shoulders a little bit, give you a little bit of space to regain some of your strength, so that when you are confronted with life's real challenges, the shit that actually needs you at your best, you are operating on all cylinders. You don't have some sort of extra, ball and chain on your leg. Does that make sense? Because I feel like the strength of diversity of thought and experience and stuff that we all bring to circumstances is only better when people aren't all puckered up, if the pucker factor doesn't overwhelm your contribution factor. Okay? Yes, it's a very scary time for people who are retired. I just saw that go by in the chat. I completely agree. And by the way, welcome, chat room. I love you guys, and I'm glad you're here. For real, though, And if you can't help, great. And I have a series of theories and thoughts on this stuff, as you might imagine. But we're going to jump into stuff today and look at what the response is around this tariff shit. Because in case anyone is under a rock, let's see. I'll bring up the Dow. Whoops, why is that? It went straight to downloads. That's adorable. Yeah. Yeah. So cutting this. Here you go. It's pretty clear as mud that there is no plan. The plan is chaos. And I swear to, like, at some point, some asshole on one of these shows, either from the Trump administration or on Fox Business or someplace, is going to throw around a term like organized chaos or managed chaos or whatever. They're going to put some sort of adjective on chaos to make it seem worthwhile and functional. It ain't. This motherfucker has no idea what he's talking about. Nothing at all. Yeah, this is earlier too. You're right. So this is 16. It's worse than that. That was what it was at the end of the day. 1679 and 39. It went down. Almost a 4% drop, like barely off a 4% drop. And it's not going to go up tomorrow. This ain't the dip, folks. The tariffs themselves, which he said would go into effect at midnight last night, did not. The policy went into on midnight. The actual ones will start on the 5th and then the 7th. So next Tuesday and next Thursday is the expectation is that is when everything will just fucking burn. And he's not going to do anything between now and then except be on the weekend shows, walking shit back, explaining which ones aren't currently on, blah, blah, blah. Just, thank you. It is the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. That is true. What's a dollar worth today? It's under $1. And this motherfucker, fucknut, who is the devil on Trump's shoulder, whispering this bullshit in his ear. He is all in. This is, they always show, Putin's brain, that Dukin, the guy who, or Gherkin, whatever, the guy who is his like spiritual advisor when he has no spirit. I don't know how that works, but he's the one who actually gives him all of his worst ideas, in kind of a Rasputin way, just whispering it into his fucking ear. Lutnick, chuckle nuts over there, that's who's doing this with Trump. He's the guy who's going, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. And you can see it in all of his fucking interviews. He was sent out to cover for this shit. And he and Besant, who should be the front of this conversation, if you're doing something difficult, if you're doing something, that is going to take a lot of explanation and people are not keen on it and don't quite understand it, you want to send out your Treasury Secretary and your Commerce Secretary to explain it to everybody. And both of them had different conflicting messages. And specifically at the root of all of it, and I don't know if it's hard to keep track of what the fuck they're talking about, but Lutnick's thing was this is just the base of the tariffs. It's going to go up from here. They have nowhere to go but up. These are the lowest. They're gonna this is the lowest it's going to get. And I can't give advice on stocks or whatever. I would argue that if it's a company that's going to be around in a few years after all this insanity, if it's not on the edge of falling apart, keep it and just sit back and don't touch anything. But because it's going to be a shaky time. That's what I'm doing. But I don't have a ton of stuff. I don't know if you have enormous amounts and you day trade, that's a whole different game. But Lugnuts was saying this is the floor. This is the bottom of the tariffs and they only go up from here. Besant was saying this is the top of the tariffs and they only go down. So anybody who says this is a fucking plan is a lunatic. Lutnick's more accurate. Here's the thing. I don't know if either of them know. Because you know what, they might. This is the crazy part. They might both be right. They might be that this is the bottom for some of the countries that we've never really done this shit with before, and so it goes up to 5-7%, and they do a big fuck around trade thing with them, and it's a lot of angry phone calls. And then with the countries where we put this flat 10%, it'll just go away on if there are no people there again, ultimately, it's going to the carve outs will be such that they're almost meaningless. That's what a lot of people, I think, are counting on, which will pause, the total collapse over the next like 3 fucking days. But again, these guys don't know what they're doing, and they are, this reminds me, the look on Bessent's face is the key because he knows what the fuck's going on. Chucklenuts is all in on this horse shit. I mean, this is like, well, you're talking to an economic snake handler, okay? Bessent is not that guy. Bessent at least pretends to be sensible about this, but Bessent doesn't know what the fuck Trump is thinking or why he's doing it. He just knows he's doing it and he works for him, so I've got to polish this turd every fucking day. Yeah, and Bessent is a bit freaked out. Bessent looked like he was like that Hank Paulson sweat. Remember 2008 during the Obama-McCain fight when McCain was going to pause his campaign and the economy was collapsing, and there was this whole like fucking Baghdad Bob shit coming out of the White House under Bush that in the fall, remember? And Hank Paulson looked like that meme from Airplane where he's just sweating and sweating and sweating, right? While trying, this is great. This is so great. It's great. Bessent is starting to look like that. And let me see if I can bring him up and I'll show you. And then we'll look at the turd polishers, because these are the people who are going to be, yeah, okay. So I have that one. Let me see if I can find just the Bessent guy. Yeah, see on there. Yeah. 2 days ago, 8 hours ago, 8 extras when the part today is what matters. Yeah, here's the whole thing. I want to get the whole piece of it. Treasury Secretary urges other countries to take a deep. Yeah, here it is.
When you look at the sum total of all.
Okay, so Caitlin Collins interviews Bessent, and yeah. Let me see if we. Okay, she's outside the White House. I don't know what the fuck this set is where they are. This like, it's like they know the place is about to burst into fucking flames.
All of the numbers on the chart that the president brought out in the Rose Garden earlier. The United States is about to have the highest tariff rates in the world. I saw an announcement that the president just made. I know that, Bessent, thank you.
So they have chairs fucking set up in front of the White House for this tariff horse shit. That's how big they think the story is going to be. You know how they normally see people walking around, or they catch them when they're walking down the driveway? Like we've done military strikes for the first time. I mean, there was a less organized interview process set up for when Iran fired at Israel, and we had ships there firing back and knocking them out of the fucking sky. Signalgate is bigger than this trade bullshit. I would say they are they're great equal examples that every aspect of this government currently, the administration, is both incompetent and evil. There is a fascinating mix of stupid and belligerently wrong, egomaniacally wrong. But check this out. So Bessent is the guy that Wall Street, after they were worried about Trump and his, it's fucking tariff shit, he's going to do 20%. And then when he picked Bessent, they were like high-fiving, because that was why there was this spike in the market, because they were like, oh, he won't let him do that. Bessent will talk him out of it. They had no idea that Bessent is just a fucking bookend. So you'll see what I've watched this part of the interview. You know, I like to watch stuff fresh with you guys. But
so much for being here. This is obviously a massive announcement that the president just made. I know there were a lot of options being considered behind the scenes, different pathways. How did the president come to this decision?
Well, look, the president's had a vision for a long time. He's been talking about tariffs. He implemented China tariffs in his first term.
He didn't, by the way, he didn't invent them, though. And he was easier on them. He wanted to do this trade deal. So he was trying to ratchet it up so he could drop them off. There's just this idiotic, like art of the deal bullshit, a book he never wrote, much less read. And so he was trying to, like, the Congress was always ratcheting this stuff up. So he was using that as leverage to drive down tariffs and sanctions so that they could get their deal, a deal they never lived up to because it was always bullshit.
So he has been thinking about this for a long time. And with the...
Yeah, not deeply. It's more like fixating on it.
Reciprocal tariffs, there are a group of factors. Is one, excuse me.
I feel very confident. It's the boldness of his voice that makes me feel better about it. You can understand that, like, you'll see how Lutnick is trying the other approach, which is just if you're loud and boisterous enough, you can just steamroll everyone. He likes the Trump approach. Like, this is going to work. If you just say it louder, it'll turn a square into a wheel.
The other country's tariffs. As important, or sometimes more importantly, what are the non-tariff barriers? Is there currency manipulation, and is there unfair subsidy to labor or finance costs?
Yeah, and when you look at this on the reciprocal tariffs themselves.
Also, does he realize, like, the money that Trump gave to the farmers when he was negotiating that shit with China in the first place? He was taking in tariffs and taxpayer dollars and giving it to farmers to pay them off. That wasn't exactly that subsidy. Is like, you don't think fucking one of the reasons Canada has a big tariff on us because of dairy is because of government cheese. We buy a shit ton of cheese. That old government cheese, we got it when I was a kid, and powdered milk. I drank powdered milk when I was a fucking kid because we were poor. And that is a subsidy of the dairy industry. That takes their excess stock, and instead of them just throwing it out a fucking window, the government buys it, and it helps them maintain a price. That's a subsidy. That's a non-tariff barrier to that. I mean, we're certainly not going to buy cheese from Canada, even if, at an equal amount, if we have all this leftover fucking cheese. Government cheese is a subsidy of the dairy industry. They are not regulating how much they produce to the amount that's out into, in the public or the desire. It's not a balance of supply and demand by bootstrapping capitalists. The government picks up the fucking tab. All SNAP benefits go to food producers. Exactly, Groove Dragon. Exactly. All the food programs, the fucking farm bill stuff. That's what that is. That's a non-tariff trade barrier because we don't need to buy that instead of them growing less and matching the market. And therefore, if there's a push, if there's a gap to be filled. So, okay. You got 50 people and 50 units of whatever this good is, whatever we're fucking talking about. And the 50 people buy the 50 units and all the time. And then the 50 units, the 50 people, a couple of them have babies, but we're still making 50 units for a time until we manage to up production. So we're making 54 units to match the 54 human beings that are here. So we got 54 people and 50 units of whatever the shit is. So during that time, we would buy, arguably, 4 more units from somewhere else, from Canada or Europe or whatever that is. We would buy 50. So we would have 54 to 54. So it would be even, right? If the market balanced itself out, and that's how production had to ramp up normally, but it doesn't. We have 50 people and we produce 1,600 units because they know that the government will buy 1,550 of those fucking units and put them on a shelf somewhere for a rainy day. So the Europeans or the Canadians or whoever have no fucking chance to sell us the 4 units they would have been able to sell us because we've already oversupplied our system permanently in a bunch of areas. So the idea that other countries do this terrible thing to America is A, fucking stupid, but it's also a lie. And yes, I did cut the government cheese. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a particular, especially their kind of Velveeta, which is, it's rough. It's rough, folks. Just saying. All right. Now, so again, let me just start there. Everything he's saying about, like, they do all these terrible things on when they're not doing tariffs. We do the same fucking thing. We even, by the way, we have so much excess in some of these markets to stabilize the price for our farmers so they continue to produce. And this is big ag businesses. This isn't to help like little mom and pop fucking farmers. That we not only have government cheese and you know, rice grain and cereal grain programs that we give to poor people in the country as part of the SNAP, you know, benefits, and these kind of like care packages of leftovers stuff or excess product that we give. That's where the fucking USAID stuff is. That's why as soon as they started cutting the USAID stuff, a bunch of red state governors were like, what the fuck are you doing? That's where we sent our excess corn. Europe doesn't do high fructose corn syrup. So if you have excess corn that doesn't go into the market, they convert it into shit and sell it overseas. And they sell high fructose corn syrup overseas, but they also turn it into cornflakes and shit like that. And those food grain cereals are as part of our like food assistance because it's dry goods. So again, the idea that these terrible countries are doing this terrible thing to us because and the average American doesn't know it is A, fucking dumb, and B, a lie. And C, you next Tuesday. Jesus.
How did you come up with the calculation, essentially, in terms of what this looks like for each country? Because obviously we're looking
with crayons and hammers. What do you think he's going to say? We thought about it?
Looking at the numbers here.
They took the trade deficit with every country. They divided it by the amount, you know, whatever the sheer number of their tariff on us, and they created a secondary number that has nothing to do with either. And then they put it on a fucking chart to make it look terrible.
There are different ones. And I can see some of the countries disputing some of these reciprocal tariffs, saying that's not actually what we charge. What would your response to that be?
Well, I can tell you USTR has the volumes of data, and they've been doing it.
Okay. The appeal to confusion. So yesterday, Trump holds up this fucking book that the U.S. trade representatives have a catalog, which is what it is, of the trade issues and costs and different stuff with all of the countries they monitor. And it's basically just like, okay, today we're doing fucking I don't know what main country, the UK. We'll do the UK. It's like 3 pages, and you'd go to the U for United Kingdom, and you go, okay, this is their trade thing on this. This is our main trade issue with them. They have a dispute with us on this. We've had these 3 lawsuits with them over certain goods. But mainly, the only thing we have that they need more of is this. So that's what we need to talk about. It's just like, and this book's been around forever. It didn't mean fucking cadaver the goddamn economy.
A long time. So, and all this will probably be challenged in court. And I think that USTR in Trump's first administration won over 4,000 lawsuits. So I think.
Yeah, how many did they win during Obama? How many did they win during Biden? That's what the fucking thing is for. And nobody needed to fucking nuke the fucking economy to do these things. Jesus. And can I just say, I'm just going to say this, USMCA fucking sucks. Like NAFTA may have been bad, but USMCA is clearly worse. Clearly more damaging to the economy. Because according to them, our economy went to complete shit since that was signed.
The data is very robust.
So you expect that if there are any legal challenges that the administration would be successful on that front?
I think the data is very robust, and it's...
Yeah, that's not a yes.
Going to be difficult to challenge.
And as we're looking at this, for on China...
It will be difficult to challenge. What do you mean, too much paperwork?
China, for example, some of the nations, there's a baseline 10% tariff, and there's a reciprocal tariff. China has this 34% tariff. There were already 20% tariffs in place on China. So is that 34% on top of that, meaning it's a 54% reciprocal tariff on China?
I believe it is.
Okay. And so
my problem isn't that it's 54%, because fuck them. And my problem isn't that it's 34%. Or that there was his awareness or lack of awareness that it was 20%. It's my problem with this motherfucker saying, I believe it is. You are the Treasury Secretary for the asshole who just announced this shit and signed an executive order on it yesterday. Is it or isn't it? See what I mean? Fuck me. Like that you should know. You should go, yes, that's what it means. Not, I believe that's what it means. Who are you waiting for the news to come from, Mr. Treasury Secretary?
When you look at that on the reciprocal tariffs, as these are going to an effect, I imagine some of these countries are going to call and try to negotiate this. Is that an option for these countries over the next few days, or...
Wait, who the fuck is that? Where's he going? Back up. So, I'm sorry, are they just giving fucking MAGA tours?
Negotiate this?
Hey,
is that an option for these countries over the next few...
Wait up, man. Hey, Charlie, what? Who left the gate open? Jesus. What, do they have Jan Sixers patrolling the White House now? What the shit? I mean, like credentials, a badge? I don't know. I guess what, after Kid Rock, I guess nobody gives a fuck what you wear at the White House anymore. Seriously.
Days, or what is the White House's mindset on that?
Well, I think the mindset is, let's just see where...
I think the mindset... Fuck me. I think the mindset... Wait up. You might... You know what, Caitlin? You might want to ask this guy, because he might know more about what the fuck is going on than the Treasury Secretary. Stop saying I think, I believe, perhaps we'll see about any of this shit, because you started a trade war, okay? You don't start a war and go, well, we'll see who wins, right? That's how you know, by the way, this isn't a trade war. This is a trade attack. This is the, it's a trade war of aggression.
Or what is the White House's mindset on that?
Well, I think the mindset is, let's just see where we are, and then we'll see how President Trump feels about all this.
Jesus Christ. Like, how do you, what the fuck? How is that a fucking answer? And again, if anybody in the Biden or Obama, fuck, if the Bush administration people gave answers like this when the stock market had cadavered 4 points in a day, you think Glenn Beck would be going, you know what, we got to be patient with these folks. You know, they mean well and they're working hard. Get the fuck out of here. We'll see what Trump is thinking. You don't know. You're his Treasury Secretary.
Okay, so it's essentially up to President Trump if he's in the mood to negotiate with some of these countries.
Well, I mean, it's not the mood. It's the how.
Shit. Oh. God damn, this is painful.
how are we seeing things? I think the real thing is going to be, and that he's going to gauge the tariff level by, it won't be necessarily the calls from the leaders, it's going to be the calls from industry saying, okay, how can we get these off? And he's going to say, you can get it off, bring your factory to the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Why the fuck do we want to make everything here? And, and wait a second. Wait a fucking second. Because if the whole thing about this is move your shit here, why, in that case, would those countries change their trade issues with us? Like we would, first of all, factory in Vietnam making units, 50 units made in Vietnam. And you're going to tariff the shit out of those things until they move that factory to make those widgets in the United States, where the cost of making those units will be higher than the cost of making them in Vietnam and purchasing them even with 100% tariff, because union jobs and benefits and and secondly, do we want to make every toxic fucking chemical in the world here? Are we in a trade war with China because we're mad that they're making all the precursors for fentanyl and we want to make them in fucking Idaho? Jesus, like, it's either the countries or it's the companies. And the companies can move here and sell their shit cheaply if they make it here. But how long is that going to fucking take? How long is it going to take to, like, convert a factory in Indiana that used to make T-shirts into a fucking auto parts plant that makes stuff for Mercedes? How long? 6 years? Then what? By the time they're done building it, it's a completely automated factory. No factory that breaks ground right now making anything is going to look like the 1930s with a bunch of people like Lucille balling their way along the fucking assembly line, putting wrappers on chocolates by hand. Motherfucker. If you're starting a factory now, it's going to run itself. There's nobody breaking ground on a fucking factory in this country in the next year that isn't planning for 90% of it to be done by automation and robots, and the other 10% will be phased out as we can as quickly as possible. Good fucking Lord. On the upside, all these rich guys are going to lose their fucking shirt once everything goes to automation, because when the cost of labor goes to zero and you can rent a fucking, third generation robot that can work 24/7, any of us can make with a 3D printer and a robot, you can kind of make almost anything you want. So, like, how do you become a super rich person when everyone can afford robot servants? How much does a car cost when it costs zero to make, or close to zero? When a $60,000 car costs $500 worth of energy to make, what's it going to sell for? What's your bank account going to look like, rich guy? For real? Jesus. Anybody who starts building here now, it's going to be an automated factory. It's just dumb.
And obviously, with the cars, all foreign-made cars imports are getting a 25% tariff starting at midnight. If half the cars coming into the United States are foreign-made, that's hard to turn around overnight, as you know. So what would you say to people in the auto industry who are worried about that timeline and how quickly that can shift?
Buy American.
And what about American?
Hey, asshole, Ford is an American company.
Made cars and produce cars that are being made using foreign-made parts.
Well, I believe the USMCA is exempt.
Yeah, those.
Right. But that, again, we're not talking about parts that come from Mexico or Canada, dummy. That's where the assembly plants are. Oh, my fucking God. And if they're already exempt, who negotiated that? Gee, I wonder why they were building big factories and the best ones in Mexico. Because some fuckwad negotiated that USMCA, the cars made in Mexico, would be exempt from tariffs in the first fucking place. Jesus. Oh, God. It's... I'm all right. I'm doing just fine. Shit, these guys are dumb.
That are compliant with this. Obviously, yes. Canada and Mexico are not on here. A lot of these are our closest allies. South Korea, Japan. When you look at those countries and the tariffs that they're being charged, if they're calling, what would you say to those nations who may have concerns about how to lower these numbers?
Well, I would say they've been doing it to us for a long time. Right? And if they don't like tariffs, then why do they have them?
We have tariffs too. It's either have tariffs or not. They strategically have them to preserve crucial industries. We do too. Fuck you. Good Lord. I'll tell you why. Because if they just start buying rice from the United States and they stop growing it and their rice paddies dry up, their primary, secondary food source goes away. And then if they're ever blockaded by the fucking Chinese at some point or the Russians, they're fucked. You know that shit you were saying about why we need steel here, asshole. You know that shit we were saying about why we need to produce steel for national defense? Rice as a foodstuff for Japan, same fucking thing, dummy. Oh, God.
And should we view these as permanent?
I think we're going to wait and see how this plays out.
And if countries retaliate, which some have said that they would, some have said they wanted to wait and see, what is the White House's response going to be to those countries?
Well, Caitlin, one of the messages that I'd like to get out tonight is everybody sit back, take a deep breath, don't immediately retaliate. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, put your hands on the fucking sink and it'll be over in a second. Just, we ran out of lube a long time ago. You'll get used to it. Lay back and take it is not a message.
Because if you retaliate, that's how we get escalation.
Because Trump's mood will sour. Also, again, tough shit. Because here's the problem. I mean, it's a good problem. I'm glad it exists. But Trump's whole myth of being a great deal maker and smart and the whole I can walk away from the table bullshit that he's always selling, the rest of the world can test that because Europeans have cars to buy. There are stuff they buy from us, but it ain't crucial. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure they'll have a hard time because KFC is not stocked in downtown Berlin with fucking gravy. I think they'll get over it. But the question is, who blinks first? And in a circumstance where whoever blinks loses catastrophically, Trump has more to lose if he doesn't blink early. Because he can collapse entire industries.
And then it becomes a full-fledged trade war, in your view?
Not a trade war. Depends on the country. But remember that...
You did it on everybody, asshole. It does not depend on the country. Jesus Christ, if like 6 countries like Vietnam and fucking, I don't know, Papua New Guinea and fucking Argentina all go, hey, anything you want, buddy. But everybody else tells us to go fuck ourselves. What the fuck do you think's going to happen? Of course it's a trade war, stupid.
The history of trade is we are the deficit country. The deficit country has an advantage. They are the surplus countries. The surplus countries traditionally always lose any kind of a trade escalation. So I did, as a...
Sorry, because France has too much wine and cheese, they'll just eat it. They'll figure it out. What do you think? There are too many Mercedes and BMWs on the streets of Berlin? What do you mean the surplus countries, motherfucker? We're not the deficit country because there's some sort of trade and manufacturing that's imbalanced by the existence of stuff that they make in other countries that we have no interest in making here. Good Lord.
Student of economic history or a professor of economic history, I advise against it.
So you're essentially saying that they should not retaliate?
Yeah, as a student of history, in this ahistorical bullshit moment where we're all riding on the whims of a egomaniacal dipshit, look back at all the times in the past when we've had debt like this. Not since World War II have we had a debt like this. You mean COVID, which was actually more impactful on the world economy than fucking World War II was? This all boils down to us pretending that COVID didn't happen, that it was no big deal, and just la 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 la. That's what that is.
I would say that doing anything rash would be unwise.
Tell that to Trump. All right. Maybe you should have said that to him before he went out into the fucking Rose Garden yesterday, stupid.
And on the 10% of all imports across the board, that's that baseline on all countries. You know, you've said before that that tariffs should be used strategically. What is the strategy in that? What is the ultimate end game for that?
No, I'd said that that's one use of the tariffs. You know, go back.
Oh, and by the way, everybody, my blood pressure is just fine. I'm all right. I'm not exaggerating my my perturbitude. This is definitely authentic what you're seeing here, but believe me, I've got a handle on it. I still have good humor about this madness because when you grow up super poor, you have a real perspective on like everything after 2 pairs of shoes is fucking gravy. And so I live that way every day of my life. So even as much as I'm like, it's really about like sort of an externalized concern for the world as opposed to, the personal kind of, which can make people keel over. Don't worry about me.
All the way to Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton used them to raise revenue. He used them to protect it.
Yeah. We had a big fucking wooden teeth and rusty knife trade deficit. Jesus.
Industry, and President Trump has added the third leg of the stool, which is strategic. So, if we are thinking about a 10% global tariff, and let's assume that we import about $3 trillion a year, so that's $300 billion, and that's a substantial revenue raiser that could then be used for working Americans on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on...
Whoa. How's this supposed to work again? Wait. You lost me.
Global tariff, and Alexander Hamilton used them to raise revenue. He used them to protect industry, and President Trump has added the third leg of the stool, which is strategic. So, if we are thinking about a 10% global tariff, and let's assume that we import about $3 trillion a year, so that's $300 billion, and that's a substantial revenue raiser that could then be used for working Americans on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and for those buying autos, they can reduce their bills because interest on American-made cars will be tax deductible. So,
or we do $3 trillion worth of imports every year. The tariffs drive up the costs of those imports and drive the number of imports down. And so the number you would take in via tariffs actually dwindles. Even if you are taking them in, it is lower. It is not enough to cover those kind of things, which Trump will do anyways, and then blow a hole in the deficit. And on top of that, as it starts to lower, a lot of those things, especially stuff from China and the things, are resold by American companies or parts of things that are made in the United States. So a tariff is applied that makes the cost of American-made goods higher. I don't know why I'm thinking about this. I'm just a comedian. I'm somebody stupid. I don't know anything about this. I'm not the Treasury Secretary.
So this is really a working class, the tariff and tax plan.
And if the point of
plan, like he could barely say plan because his body wouldn't let him. Plan. I'm supposed to say plan right now.
This ultimately is to get people to buy more U.S.-made products. But you are counting on that revenue, as we've seen some of your colleagues like Peter Navarro arguing how much money this could bring into the United States. In the end, wouldn't that theoretically dwindle over time if people are buying more U.S. and there's less money coming in from what's being imported into the United States?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's why in the past I've called tariff policy done properly is a shrinking ice cube, because what will happen, we will start out with high tariff income, but then as the factories come to the U.S., we will have more business income and we'll have more paycheck income because American workers will be earning. So, you would.
Yes, working very hard at these automated factories or building these things that were cheaper to build overseas here and adding the extra cost of American workers on top of that, making them that much more expensive. Welcome to the $7,000 iPhone.
See, it's a rebalancing. So
yeah, it'll totally happen like that, and quickly too. It's in 6 months, by the fourth quarter.
Rebalance away from tariffs to more domestic income.
But the idea that it would put a dent in the national debt then would seem not to be likely, right?
Well, not at all, because for right now, we have the income that we have, and we will be adding tariff income to that. So when
which you just said you're converting into a fucking tax cut. So you're just taking that money away and then you're giving it away to the upper 1% for this tax cut that Trump wants to do.
We get CBO scoring. The CBO scoring is not going to include any tariff income. It's not going to include any. So this is all going to be extra. So we're at this that the other T, other than tariffs, is tax. And from here,
tariffs are a tax.
I'll be spending most of my time on the tax deal, and we're in this strange betwixt and between on the tax deal because there will be substantial tariff.
So this is him distancing himself from the policies of Navarro and Lugnuts and Trump.
There will be substantial cost savings, and we're not going to get credit for either of those with CBO scoring.
Well, and obviously that's why you've been having a lot of conversations with Republican lawmakers. But before I get to that in a moment, we're seeing international markets start to respond to the president's announcements. Obviously, the markets in the United States are already closed. What do you expect the stock market to look like when it opens tomorrow in reaction to this?
I don't know. I don't know where it's going to trade to open tomorrow. I don't know where it's going to close tomorrow.
Okay. This might be the worst lie of the whole thing. Of course he knows. Of course he knows. And he can say, I expect it will go down, but I expect it to rebound as things recover because markets will react to extraordinary things like this. And we know this all along. But yeah. I mean, it dropped 1,000 points in futures. So, I mean, it's going to, like, what do we think? 38,000 before they reverse course or have a big fucking sweaty faced, round table where we're never mind
tomorrow. And, I think what's going to be important are the underlying economic fundamentals, because at the end of the day, Warren Buffett says,
yeah, what the fuck is the fundamentals on a company that can't get the supplies they need to make the shit they do here because it comes from another country, and it will be years before they can get it here. Even if they want it, they can't. But they're going to be tariffed until they do. So fuck R&D, I guess, over the next couple of years. So there goes the entire engine of the U.S. economy is innovation. It's not manufacturing.
In the short run, the market's a voting machine. In the long run, it's a weighing machine.
Well, and
right. So tomorrow they're going to vote that you suck. And then eventually they're going to tie an anchor around your neck and make you walk the fucking economic plank.
We've heard some of the allies of this White House say there will be some short-term pain for Americans. I think regular people watching may say, how do you define short-term? What does that look like for me and for my bottom line? What would you say to them?
Well, again, I think there are two things there to unpack, Caitlin. One is on what we were doing.
Also, if you'll notice, he does this thing where he uses her name twice so far in this interview, just then and then a little bit ago. And this is probably the area where he attempts, if you're looking for how Besant became the businessman and the wealthy person he is, this is how his bullshit machine works, how he kicks his bullshit machine into overdrive when he's trying to flim-flam people and sell a bad deal as good so that he can make money off of it. It often, I would argue that if you're ever in a situation and you're having a conversation with a guy like this, or him in particular, and he says your actual name, immediately your antenna should go up and you go, man, all right, fuck this guy. Because I feel like if I was talking to you and I'm like, listen, Sam, we gotta da-da-da, like, you should be ready for a fucking sales pitch. At that point, if somebody's saying your name to you and it's not an after-school special, they're going to try and sell you a system that cleans your gutters because it's totally unsafe for you to be on a ladder, and you shouldn't have to do that. And this service will make it up for you 10 times. It pays for itself.
On government spending. So we're bringing down government jobs. We're bringing down government borrowing. So this
Also, no, they're not. They are not taking any of the quote-unquote Doge savings and giving them back. They are placing them elsewhere. They are spending them. They are spending that money on other priorities of Trump's, which is, again, what every president does when they come in and they have discretion over programs the last president put in place. The difference is because of COVID, it's a much bigger number, so it draws a lot more eyeballs.
Sustainable level of government stimulus is stopping. And then on the other side, private sector jobs and private sector borrowing will take over. Those may not be perfectly matched, but we did.
No, they won't.
See an increase of 10,000 manufacturing jobs last month. On the other side, when you think about
the manufacturing jobs were the physical building. They're construction guys for the deals made for the AI stuff, the chip fabs last year.
Especially for working Americans, could we get a price adjustment due to the tariff? Maybe, maybe not. Walmart.
Price adjustment. It's an adjustment. It's not a price hike. It's not prices going up. It's an adjustment. Yeah, who doesn't like a nice adjustment? It's sort of, think of me as your economic chiropractor, and I just stroked you out on the table.
CEO.
That sounded wrong.
Seems intent on making China, or his suppliers in China, eat all the tariffs. So Walmart, biggest retailer in America, 40 million people a week go in there. So, and then on the other side, once the tax bill gets through, then we will see the decrease for working Americans. So that's why.
Once the tax bill gets through? Sorry, you're going to blow a hole in the deficit. You're going to start that way. You're not going to reach your fucking $1 trillion cuts through Doge in any way, shape, or form. Trump isn't going to want to give that money back. He's going to want to spend it on his own priorities. And because of that, he's not going to be able to justify this fucking giant push. Like, the fucking Senate wants to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion now. You don't think Trump's immediately going to fill that up in an afternoon with quantitative easing to try and, we're going to have the greatest economy in the world. Yeah, on a fucking credit card. Isn't this the shit they said Biden was doing, which he wasn't? Isn't the shit they were saying Obama was doing, which he wasn't?
Part of what I've been doing up on the Hill is pushing the House, pushing the Senate, and they don't need much pushing because I think the most undertold story in Washington these days is the level of Republican unity.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very undertold because every time they start to tell it, people start laughing. I'll get to that in a minute.
Well, on that front, and we'll see what Republicans do and how that looks. Obviously, that's the president's ambitious agenda. But on, the argument of short-term pain, long-term gain, which it seems what you're arguing about the long-term, what this will look like, prices will go up for Americans in the short term, right?
They could. They don't have to.
They will. They will. They can't not.
And that's if they don't have to, you're arguing if businesses do not pass those on to those consumers.
Well, in the President Trump's first administrations, prices didn't go up, so the businesses don't have to pass them on.
Whoa. First of all, there was nowhere near this kind of trade attack on the rest of the fucking world. And he went easy on a myriad of things from China, specifically on Walmart's behalf. That's why he got so screwed on his trade deal, because all of his tariffs on China had no fucking teeth. I apologize to all of you. Chat room, I feel bad. At one point, while I don't like Bessent and I don't think he's a good person, I was under the illusion that he kind of knew what the fuck he was talking about. Now, it could be that he's just been bullied and cowed into trying to polish a turd on TV, and if he doesn't, he's fucked, which is possible. But the way he's doing it seems to me that he is missing that one part of smart where there's a line you don't cross because you will be forever remembered as the stupid person. That's out the fucking window, apparently. God damn.
Or the producers in the other countries can eat the tariffs, and traditionally the dollar adjusts. So it's a very
It adjusts. Yes, there'll be adjustments at Walmart, and the dollar will adjust.
Complicated calculus to see where we end up.
Yeah, and of course, these are much broader than the ones in the first term. The president was making the argument in the Rose Garden about what economists predicted then and what this looks like now. But on what you mentioned on what the president promised on the campaign trail, where
I like Caitlin's little jabs. She's not letting him get away with stuff. There are other people who try it, and they do these little, well, that's not exactly what happened, but we'll move on. And they do it in a way that the other person really hears it, and therefore they react, and then it carries the conversation, and then they get to double down on their bullshit, right? In this particular case, she manages to throw those things in, which I appreciate. Like, she makes the note of it without drawing the person into a fight. Now, it's Bessent, so I don't know that he's gunning for it.
Comes to no taxes on tips or Social Security.
Oh, Tobias, my God,
do you
thank
envision this in a large way helping pay for that? Because sometimes that's a criticism from critics of this White House, saying that he's just using these tariffs to pay for the extension of those tax cuts.
Well,
which is, by the way, what Bessent just fucking said, like 2 minutes ago.
For the extension of the tax cuts or the new no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime.
All of the above. She's not making a distinction. Stop trying to pad this out.
And auto deductibility. And look, what's wrong with that? That if we take the 10% ring around the globe tariff, that if there's a currency appreciation.
Ring around the globe.
If the producers eat a portion of it, and then there's a slight price adjustment on the other.
A slight price adjustment. And that's sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, here comes Bessent.
Oh, hello there.
A slight price adjustment. Fucking hell.
Side, you have all four of those things happening for working Americans. At the end of the day, we could imagine that their real after-tax purchasing power has substantially increased.
And we'll see what that looks like. But on just this overall, you're coming into this. Some people say, most Americans, I feel pretty good about where the economy was when President Trump took office. We saw the stock market rally. Do you have any concerns that this announcement will put that in jeopardy for Americans?
Well,
of course not. Come on. I think we can sum up his next statement as basically.
I love layup.
Yeah.
First of all, Caitlin, I back up because, out on the campaign trail and for the previous year, I called it the steroid economy. It looks great on the outside, you're kind of big, muscular in this, but on the inside, it's killing your internal organs. And what was happening was we were heading for a financial crisis.
No, we weren't. We were coming out of one. Again, this really does all boil down to these motherfuckers not wanting to admit what COVID did to the economy, the U.S. economy and the world economy. They just want to pretend it never fucking happened. The impact of COVID on our economy, much less the world, was bigger than the impact of World War II on the economy worldwide, because it was basically just Europe and the United States throwing a bunch of money in there. There was Japan, there was other things, but there wasn't even the money to be lost in China. There wasn't even the financial sector that we have now existing in the United States at that time. Good Lord.
We were at 6.7% deficit to GDP, which we've never had when we weren't at war, weren't in recession. And
Jesus Christ. We just came out of a worldwide pandemic. Just fucking stop. That's the problem here, Caitlin. That's the problem here, regular members of the media. Remind these fucking people that COVID blew a $20 trillion hole in the economy and we plugged it with $9 trillion. And you can't do that. And so the drag on it and the rebuilding and all that stuff was going to be on shaky ground, trying to build the pillars again as best you could. But you're going to accrue debt like that. It's like saying, we haven't had a home repair cost like this since the hurricane. Right after a fucking tornado. That's what this is. He's pretending the tornado 6 weeks ago didn't happen to say this is the most money we've had to borrow to fix the house since the fucking hurricane.
No matter what, we were going to have to put the brakes on that so that
we already were. But you don't stomp them in the middle of the fucking freeway when you don't have the baby in a car seat and they're fucking crawling around the dash.
As we bring that down,
Jesus, why did it bring that down? Don't bring me down. Bruce. Shit, these guys are thick. Fuck me. All right. Speaking of thick. Did we get, yeah. He did, didn't Trump do a fucking gaggle on Air Force One? The sound is always ass, but, let's see, 1 second, a doobity-doo. I want to show you guys, whoops. Yeah. Let's see, this is... Yeah, 2 hours ago. So hold on 1 second. This is the newest and bluest. By the way, hit that like. You're watching HalSparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I'm HalSparks, and I will be HalSparksing the rest of the night. And why do you say HalSparks over again, HalSparks? Why are you HalSparksing as HalSparks would only do in a situation where HalSparks is having a HalSparks show? I'm doing it so that the maggots and trolls that are watching the show have my name stuck in their head for days, and I'm just rent-free. I'm moving in. I'm bringing my couch up the stairs, and HalSparks is bringing his fucking his futon into your brain. And in the middle of next week, where you're like, why the fuck can't I get HalSparks' name out of my head? Now you know. I'm HalSparks. And this is HalSparks Mega Worldwide. Okay, here we go. This is him on Air Force One. And he walks out and he says,
"Oh, hello there."
All right. Hold on.
$5 million, this can be yours. That was the first of the cards. You know what that card?
Jesus Christ, he's selling his little, like, I'll make up for the debts. You can move into a country that nobody wants to sell to. He's holding up the little gold card.
It's the gold card. The Trump card.
Also, why is that dude filming in sepia? Is this how they do it? Does he have like lossless on his phone so they can color it in later so his skin looks normal? Also, I would like to remind everyone, I do not, I'll see if I can find a better view of this, but I feel like I owe you a nunt warning that at some point we may see Trump's nunt, and it is the thing of nightmares. So please view accordingly. You may have to have a small barf bag, something. I recommend one of those little kitchen waste bags because they're waterproof. But if you get a big, solid view of his nunt, it can be, sleep is necessary to proper health, and you could lose the ability to sleep for days at a time. I know I have. Let me see if there's another angle on this horse shit. This is, by the way, this is their coverage. Can I just say, this is their video. Listen to the audio on this shit.
Who's
the first buyer?
Me. I'm the first. I don't know, but I'm the first buyer. It'll be out in about less than 2 weeks, probably.
I'm the first buyer of the Trump gold card. It's a visa. You're a citizen.
Pretty exciting, right?
Ready for some questions?
Anybody want to buy one?
They're all citizens, stupid.
Okay, let's go.
First, we'd love to get your reaction, sir, to what's going on in the financial markets today.
Well, I mean, it's to be expected. This is a patient that was very sick. We really inherited a terrible economy, as you know.
No, you didn't.
With a lot of problems, including loss of manufacturing and plants closed up all over the country. You know, we've lost.
Also, all those plants he talks about were closed before he was president the first fucking time.
90,000 plants since NAFTA, if you think of that.
Right. How many have we lost since USMCA?
90,000. It's not even believable.
It's completely believable.
And about 6 million jobs. And so it was a sick patient that went through an operation.
By the way, we didn't lose 90,000 fucking factories and 6 million jobs in the last 4 goddamn years.
On Liberation Day, and it's going to be a booming country, a very booming country.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you walk outside, you're gonna see the booms going off. What the hell? Yeah, it'll be absolutely booming. What is I probably should have a boom somewhere. Yes. I don't know. How booming? That kind of booming. Okay, cool.
It's going to be amazing, actually. And we see it because we have trillions of dollars committed to come in. Trillions.
Sir, can I ask you, when you say that it was an operation and the patient's healthy now, does that mean you see us as kind of towards the high water mark in terms of
operation? How high? Sure. The operation's over, and now
the tariffs haven't even gone into effect fully. The operation's not over. Unless you're talking about your colonoscopy, in which case, I don't know why you didn't just ask RFK if his goggles are fogging up. I should have faster.
Captain.
This. We're going straight to, we've got live audio of RFK Jr. Giving Trump his regular exam. So,
let it settle in. You see the plants are starting to construction already. We have many plants.
No, we don't.
Indiana, massive auto plant.
Yes. How many employees? Also, no.
Honda, and we have so many plants, and they'll be
Isn't it Hyundai? Well, I forget.
under construction, and as they start to build, you're going to see a lot of construction jobs, and you're going to see a lot of jobs when they open.
Does that mean chips and pharma tariffs are not on the table?
Starting very soon. The chips are starting very soon. The pharma is going to be starting to come in, I think, at a level that you haven't really seen before.
So that's just the fallback, like you've never seen before. It's going to happen like you've never seen. But this casino is going to be more of a casino than anybody's ever seen before. People are going to have chips at this casino with my face on them, like people haven't ever fucking God.
We are looking at pharma right now. Pharmaceuticals. It's a separate category. And we'll be announcing that sometime in the near future, not too distant future. That's under review right now.
Are you negotiating with?
It's under review. What's under review? What is? Whether or not it's going to happen? Good Lord. Also, I'm sorry if it's very quiet, but again, this is their shit copy of it. Let's see. Hold on. Maybe again, I want to find another version of this that isn't the White House. Let's just show everybody that government can't do anything right and private industry is so much better at this. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's see. Trump Air Force One questions, I guess. I did that right there. Yeah, here's another.
President Trump catching up.
We have a lot of good things happening in our country. I hope you enjoyed the flight. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. President. Canada, sir, and after the call, you seem to be much more positive about Canada than you've been in the past.
No, I just think, I've always loved Canada. And we had a very good conversation. The Prime Minister, they've got an election going.
Also, what? This is older. Hold on. Wait, let me find. These are all these. Speaks on tariffs, Doge, Houthis, proxy voting, Air Force One. Live now.
We saw him just land there at MIA a short time ago. And
hold on, I gotta find which one it is. Son of a
President
bitch.
Trump catching up very, very briefly.
Oh, shut up. That was 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, 6 days ago. This is one updated 1 hour ago, but I guess that's the list. Hold on, I'll find it because there's clearly today. There we go. Air Force One remarks 2 hours ago. We'll go to the. Oh, that's fucking guttural.
To the media to make some comments.
Here you go. This is, I think. Let's put the audio here and listen.
It's going in and see that.
Pretty exciting, right?
You ready for some questions?
Anybody want to buy one? Okay, let's go.
First, we'd love to get your reaction, sir, to what's going on in the financial markets today.
Well, I mean, it's to be expected. This is a patient that was very sick. We really inherited a terrible economy, as you know, with a lot of problems.
Bullshit.
Including loss of manufacturing and plants closed up all over the country. We've lost 90,000 plants since.
And I would like to point out that, he's lost, I would say, 1/5 of his hair in the last 6 months. Or he's just run out of whatever, he keeps forgetting to staple it on.
NAFTA, if you think of that. 90,000. It's not even believable.
Well, over 3 decades?
And about 6 million jobs. And so it was a sick patient. It went through an operation on Liberation Day. And it's going to be a booming country. A very booming country. It's going to be amazing.
God damn, this sounds, I dare I say it, he sounds even dumber than Besant did.
Actually, and we see it because we have trillions of dollars committed to come in. Trillions.
Sir, can I ask you, when you say that it was an operation and the patient's healthy now, Does that mean you see us as kind of towards the high water mark in terms of how high?
Sure. The operation's over, and now we let it settle in.
He didn't like repeat the fucking or repeal the fucking tariffs.
You see the plants are starting to construction already. We have many plants.
We watched this part already.
Indiana, massive auto plant. The Honda.
Okay, so let's check that out real quick. Okay. I'm just curious. Honda, new auto plant. Honda produced next Civic in Indiana, not Mexico, due to tariffs. Sources say. To avoid potential tariffs on one of its top-selling car models, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. The change underscores how manufacturers are scrambling. Japan's second-largest automaker initially planned to manufacture the next generation in Guanajuato, Mexico, according to 3 people. Production was slated to start in November 2027, according to one of the people. So this is what they're doing. It now plans to build the Civic model in Indiana from May 2028. With an expected annual production rate of 210,000, one of the people said Honda would look to import from nations not hit by the tariff in Indiana when it falls short of demand, one of them said. Of all the people spoken, a Honda spokesperson declined to comment on the changes to the Civic production plan, adding the company would continue to take into account demand and business environment while considering optimal production and allocation globally. Mexico has long been a lower-cost production hub. Honda sends around 80% of its Mexican output to the United States, the second largest auto market after China. I don't see anything about a new factory in Indiana. It seems like they're just using one of their factories they already have. Yeah, they have a factory in Marysville, Indiana. Let's see. Hold on. Honda's boosting invest. Jesus Christ. Okay, Honda EV. Yeah, Trump mentions new India Honda plant, but company denies announcement. Yeah, they're just talking about building this, making the Civic possibly in 2 years' time in Indiana instead of Mexico. But Besson just told us that Mexico is they don't have to pay the tariffs if they make it in Mexico. Because of USMCA. So because of Trump's stupid fucking USMCA thing, not only is Honda not building a new plant in Indiana, they're not making the Civic that they're planning on making in Mexico in a couple of years. They may move it 2028. They'll start making it. Jesus Christ. Do you think he knows this? Who the fuck told him this? Chuckle nuts back there? Jesus.
And we have so many plants, and they'll be under construction. And as they start to build, you're going to see a lot of construction jobs, and you're going to see a lot of jobs when they open.
Okay, just flat out lie. I mean, just in the blanket sense, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But the one he cited is they're not building a new plant. They're possibly going to move, in theory, the production of their 2027 Civic to their Indiana plant if demand meets it. And I guess to avoid the tariffs, but I think if they can avoid the tariffs by making stuff in Mexico and selling it, which it seems like they can, because it's whatever.
I mean, so chips and pharma tariffs are not on the table?
They're starting very soon. The chips are starting very soon.
Yeah, because the factory building started under Biden. Jesus.
The pharma is going to be starting to come in, I think, at a level that you haven't really seen before. We are looking at pharma right now, pharmaceuticals. It's a separate category.
Yes, farmer and pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are something when a farmer is accidentally castrated in a mass gelding accident, they replace their testicles with pharmaceuticals. They're a faux testicle that you can put in your they just give you that sense of something in your pants other than just like air. All right.
And we'll be announcing that sometime in the near future, not too distant future.
Are you negotiating?
That's under review right now.
Are you negotiating with partners currently?
What we have is we have a set of tariffs based on what they've been charging us. That's reciprocal. And those tariffs have come in many...
No, they're not, by the way. They're not reciprocal. If we don't buy fucking mangoes or coffee from, if a country doesn't buy coffee and mangoes from us, but we buy coffee and mangoes from them because we can't grow fucking enough coffee and mangoes in our climate for demand, why would we want... Why would they be forced through tariffs to buy an equal amount? They're not reciprocal. There's not a mango on mango tax.
Every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do.
Yes, going, fuck you, in 30 different languages.
We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said, no, now they'll do anything for us.
I don't think so.
But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
But are you open to deals with these countries if they're calling you?
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff?
Bullshit. No. No. China's not selling TikTok to fucking Amazon or anybody else along with the algorithm, which is the only fucking reason to buy it. It's the only thing that matters. You think somebody can't make a fucking, like, short video sharing website or app? Are you kidding me? Vine, Snapchat. What's the one that Mark Cuban likes? Skylight? What's that one? Hold on. Skylight. Love the too. Sorry. Starlight is making me think. Okay, so Sky, is it Sky? What's it called? Skylight app video sharing, I don't know, whatever. Skylight. Skylight social app. Can others use the moment? How do I send videos to Skylight? Skylight apps on Google Play using let's get Skylight Free Plus. That's Skylight app. Where is it? Okay, so you can do it. Where is there a login? Say Skylight Plus Skylight app. I don't know. Let's see what this is. Click on the thing. Skylight apps on Google. Is there a desktop version of it? How to use Skylight apps on Google. Fuck me. Okay, let's just go to Skylight support. And we'll just go to see if we can backdate it to just Skylight. There we go. Jesus, is this it? Can't be. Skylight frame user guide. Blah, blah, blah. Skylight support powered by Zendesk. Another Skylight frame. Skylight frame FAQ. How do I preload photos on this for? Oh no, that's different. The hell? Does anybody know what it is? Am I scrolling past it? Skylight means it links when it rains. Yeah. I'll find it later. But you got it. You get the point.
The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation, and it's very exciting to see. And what it's done is driven a lot of great companies to our country, and you're going to see construction starting all over. I already got a couple of calls from Lee Zeldin from Environmental. He's got some big plans to approve.
Yeah, the reason we haven't had a bunch of these factories in our fucking country is because there is no way to do these things without polluting the groundwater around them. And so he's like, fuck it, bring the factory. I don't care. I don't drink that fucking water. I just, Every day in every way, I just drink more and more. Hold on one second. Where is it? Just
Diet Coke!
exactly.
Like really, Mr. President.
How long will it take to get American manufacturing, to where you would like to see it?
Well, let's say it's a 2-year process. You know, they start a plant, and they're big plants. We're giving them approval to also, in many cases,
No, it's not a 2-year process.
is to build the electric facility with it. So you have electric generation and the plant, and they're big plants. Now, the good news is a lot of money for them, and they can build them fast, but they're still very big plants. So I'd always say it would take a year and a half to 2 years.
Which is bullshit.
President, I'm curious. About the
They've already started.
Mr. President, have you been following
You mean the ones that started under Biden?
the New York City mayor's race, and specifically Andrew Cuomo is now the front runner according to the polls. How do you feel about that? Do you think you can have a good relationship with the mayor, Andrew Cuomo?
Well, I've always gotten along with him. We had our ins and outs a little bit. We did a great job.
Yeah, but once he was accused of, sexual battery and sexually harassing his staff, I was like, brother.
Remember, we built the convention center rooms for him. He didn't use them, unfortunately. And we sent the Mercy ship. We sent the really magnificent hospital ship, and they didn't use it. But we always had a pretty good relationship.
You going to make an endorsement in that race?
Well, it's not something I'm thinking about yet. Is he thinking about running? Yeah.
On Russia, Ukraine, there's a Russian envoy in town for some meetings. Can you give us an update on how that's going?
We do. We have an envoy from Russia. We're talking about it. We're like...
He just found out about it. There's an envoy in town. Is there something going? Yeah, I just heard there's an envoy in town. From who? From you.
See that stop as soon as possible, because thousands of people are being killed.
Really? In a war? Thousands of people are being killed? Soldiers, mostly? Young soldiers? Gee, that's weird for a war in human history. I thought you were going to solve it in a fucking phone call.
Weak soldiers, mostly soldiers.
Never would have happened, and blah, never would have happened.
And Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And
yeah, mostly some North Korean soldiers, and of course some Chechens and some abducted immigrants.
You're losing 2,000, 3,000 sometimes a week. So
10,000 a week, stupid.
We're spearheading the drive to get it done.
Are you? So how dull is this fucking spear?
Europe has not been successful in dealing with President Putin, but I think I will be successful.
Sir,
oh yeah? Based on what?
can I ask you about the NSC? How many staffers were let go and why? Your National Security Council, how many staffers were let go?
There were some. Always we're going to let go of people that we don't like, or people that we don't think can do the job, or people that may have...
Laura, for those of you who don't know, Laura Loomer came to the White House and basically talked him into firing some people from the NSC, the National Security Council, because she thought they were insufficiently loyal or too not maggoty enough. Oh, Substack's down. Oh, does it? Well, it might only let me do it for a short time. Is that what happens? Hold on. I'm going to check it out. Check it out. You silly thing. You silly doggy. What's going on? I know I can do this. Substack. Why'd you go down, Substack? What's your problem? Why would you do such a thing? Posts. Do I go to my home? Are you sure it's down? Did it just stop? What happened? Home. Looking. It's such like I gotta say, Substack is very weird in its posting to like find your own my own dashboard. There we go. Should go. All right, let me try this. I'll do a new live video and I'll just restart it. What do you think? I would hate for people to miss the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. Wouldn't you? Okay, there we go. We'll copy that. Copy. And then we'll go down here. And apparently we'll go into here and we'll unclick that. And we're fine. And then we'll go into this. We open this up and we toss this in here. We hit V. And then we go OK. And then hopefully I didn't get, floored because of some personal reason. They don't like me there, but I think we should be up perhaps in a new tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. It might be an hourly thing. Maybe they're just letting you do an hour right now or something. Hey, look at that. It's back up. Sort of. It'll be a different link, but it's there. I'm checking it. Hold on. Fucking this dude can do everything. Okay. All right. I'm just saying. And not afraid to get his hands dirty. All right. Don't even get me started. All right. There we go. Hi, live chat. There we go. Throw some hearts in there so people know we're here and it pops me up on that. Hey, check this out. Can I? All right. Chat room, after I just fix that, can I show you something real quick? This is a very Rob Glenn kind of a thing, but let me show you. Let me grab something real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. So I'm oh, hello. I feel really blurry right now. I don't really feel myself. I don't know if it's a stomach thing or something, or this is a weird thing. Oh, I feel much better. Okay. So I got a new 3D printer on the cheap because of this site that that MacBids thing that sells stuff that people have returned. And the reason I got it cheap, because it's a very nice one, is because whoever got it didn't realize you have to flip a switch to make the power on it English or like American or European. So there's like a little switch that's inside a little panel, like a game of operation, and you have to click it over or it won't work. It will not turn on. It will not do any of that. Okay. And so apparently that was the problem. They had dozens of these things. And I was like, why do they have so many of them? Are they fucked up or whatever? And you don't know. If you buy the thing, you're like, take it home and you try to turn it on, it was shit. So I plug it in and I set it up and all this kind of thing. And I turn it on and nothing. And I'm like, off and on. The thing, if they check this and manual, turn it off and on. Is there a fuse? Not a fuse. And then I see on the little side, it has this little tiny writing. And it's got a little like open hole in there. And I was like, if there's a hole, I can do something with it. And inside you can see this little switch and I can see the 240 versus 150 or whatever. And so for the voltage for a plug here that they have, you have to click it to 150. So, hi, Rob. So it wasn't working and I put my little screwdriver in there, click, and it fired right up. And I was like, sweet as shit. And so I've been doing a couple of test prints with it. Hi, Rob. We'll talk about this tomorrow. So I did, like my little symbol that I, this kind of thing. I made I made ones that have little holes in them so you can hang them as a necklace like this. And I was going to try different versions of them or whatever. I just drew on the side with a Sharpie just because this is white plastic. I was testing with white plastic. So all my test prints are white, which is, shouldn't be offensive. And then I made it like a small one of these. And then, so my son loves the game Helldiver. And so I started going, I think this thing's big enough where I could print armor from it for his for Halloween. So if he decides he wants to be a Helldiver for Halloween, I can print the entire armor for him like cosplay shit. So I started working on that to see if I could, anyways. So I made the shoulder covers. Now these are more my size. This was just kind of like because I was using mine for measurement. And so I printed 2 of these, and they're actually pretty nice. They're very shiny and that kind of stuff. They need to be painted, I think, and all that kind of stuff is a baseline. So I made 2 of them, and this one's a little thinner on the side because you could, if you could see through it, maybe you can. Hold on. You can see kind of like the spiral of the plastic, so it's not like rock solid plastic, whatever. And then I went in and I found a Helldiver model online, and then I cut out a piece of it. And then this is the armor from the game. So this is for it, like for cam or whatever. And I just did a test print on it to see if I could reshape it. And then that, so this is the first shoulder one. And then I'll make another one. And then what I'm going to do is basically when Cam's here in the summer, I'll just measure them. And then I'll take these things and I'll just scale them down. So I'll build the whole thing so that it all works, and then we'll just scale it down to him. And so I'm just a dad making some toys for his son while having fun myself at the same time. So, yeah. So anyway, so this is, it's got ridges on it, so I need to smooth it out a little bit. But it was, I mean, these are just test runs so that I know that I can be, you know, I can get the basic shape right and shit like that. So, yeah. So I'm making, and the nice thing is I think this thing is big enough where I can make a full-size helmet for his head. I can't make one for my head because my head is enormous, but I could make one for him. I know I could make it in 2 parts. Rob Glenn could help me with that. I know he could. I'm not trying to pester him on live video to help me break down a helmet into 4 printable parts. But I may make a phone call because he has done similar things, and that's one of the other reasons why he's awesome. Don't forget to check out Friday Eye tomorrow. Now, back to stop. We got to stop being smart for a second and go back to being stupid. Because this is what we got to deal with. So there you go.
Somebody else, you'll always have that.
So you mentioned that Yahoo recently, Israel has now talked about staying in Gaza, doing long-term occupation. Has anything changed in regard?
Do you think the guy? Do you think his staff has the guy with the mic hold it in that place so the light doesn't reflect off of his skull, so you can't see how bald he is? Because from the other angle, like you could really tell when the light was over his head. So it feels like they're doing him a favor.
To the U.S. Gaza-Israel plans?
I spoke to him today, as a matter of fact. And I think he's going to be coming to our country sometime in the not-too-distant future, maybe next week. And we'll speak about Israel, and we'll speak about what's going on. That's another thing we'd like to get solved. And I think we will get it solved. But I think he very well may.
Thank you, Dragon X Flyer. I will noted.
Becoming Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, is that what his name is? I always forget. Guy, you know, little fella you might have heard of named Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't call him BB because he gets really mad and he gives you a titty twist.
Follow up on your earlier comment about TikTok. You said that the Chinese might be willing to agree to approve that sale in exchange for tariff relief. Is that something that you've floated to them or you've heard from them? Or
no, I'm just using that as an example.
Okay.
Right, of other shit that isn't going to happen either. I'm just going to fucking... It's just fiction. I was just giving you an example. You know, there's Harry Potter and, you know, great works of fiction. My healthcare plan, the idea that somebody's going to buy TikTok and turn it into trillions of dollars to save my economy and still support my presidency.
Let's say we had a problem with TikTok, and let's say
we have a problem with TikTok.
China wasn't going to approve. We could use tariffs in order to get it approved. You know.
No, you couldn't. It's proprietary military software, stupid. That's why it's malware. Get it off your fucking phone. Jesus, they're not going to sell it. That's like saying, you know, like I think nuclear missiles, if you really think about it, is just a big column, you know, and if you take the point off, you could sell the column, you know, out of it, and it would be great for like houses and architecture or like big buildings or whatever. You could just use the missile part as a column or whatever and stuff. And if they'd be willing to sell us their nuclear technology, we could just use that for construction. It doesn't work that way, dummy.
The deadline is
you give them something in return.
What's the update on the deal?
Give them something in return. Yeah, I think I have an idea.
Negotiations for
we're very close to a deal with a very good group of people.
Yeah, those people. I love them. The very good people. The very good group of people.
Larry Ellison and Oracle. Is it multiple investors? Just
multiple.
And then did the last minute bids kind of throw things into disarray for you, or do you have your strategy completely locked up on who's going to...
Which last minute?
Amazon.
Which?
On acquiring TikTok.
No, I think that China maybe will call and say, well, we're upset with the tariffs, and maybe they want to get something a little bit in order to get TikTok approved. Who knows?
Is there plans underway to...
Get TikTok approved. What, like the sale of it approved? They're not going to approve the sale, dummy. ByteDance is a criminal enterprise. It is a military company. Jesus Christ. If they sell it, it will be without the algorithm. And without the algorithm, it's fucking Vine. If anybody buys it, pays anywhere near like a market value for it, they're out of their fucking minds. No, I'm not knocking Vine, by the way. I think it should be brought back. One of the things that TikTok did was capsize Vine and Snapchat. Also, I really want to thank. We have some trolls and some maggots in the chat today. I want to thank them for being here. They help us out with the algorithm in a way that our regular viewers can't. So thanks very much for being here. And not only, like, it's one thing when you watch, that's one thing. But when you write stuff, it tells the algorithm, gee, this guy's engaging.
I have no knowledge of that, but that's the kind of thing.
On Israel, can you give us any update on the Palestinian relocation plan? Are we talking to any countries?
We're going to try and solve the Gaza problem. It's been a problem.
We're going to try and solve the Gaza problem. Maybe with tariffs. Maybe they'll be afraid to tariff. Maybe put tariffs on them, and maybe they'll self-move.
Problem for many years, for many, many decades. It's been a big problem. I've met with, as you know, a lot of the hostages. It's a terrible situation. But if you notice, hostages are being released now. And that's happened only since I got involved. So
no, they aren't. They've stopped being released. That deal fell apart. It's over. They aren't. Did nobody tell this motherfucker that the ceasefire ended?
We have hostages being released. Quite a few, actually.
You're still...
No, you don't.
And hopefully, I'd like to get as many hostages as we can. And then Gaza's a very, very important thing. It's
yes, so it is. Gaza. It's so important, you know. I believe the Gazans are the future. Treat them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty that they have inside. Sorry.
It's been under siege for many, many years, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Sorry, Gaza's been under siege for many, many years. I don't know, maybe talk to, what was that guy's name again? Benjamin something or other. Apparently you're going to talk to him in the very near future.
A lot of people die in Gaza. Gaza's been a place we have a lot of people die. A lot of bad things happen in Gaza. We'll see.
Jesus Christ. It's like he's talking about the Bronx in 1978.
What we can do about it.
The dinner tonight, can you tell us about it? Who's going to be there? Any leader?
Maybe get Bibi to not blow up hospitals. How about that? I mean, I'm just spitballing.
So dinner tonight is sort of I have a couple of them, actually.
You know, Gaza's a place that's very important. A lot of death, a lot of dying, a lot of murder and bombing and millenniums of death and dying and sad, and Russia and Ukraine, the death and the dying. Anyways, dinner tonight, we're going to have a fruit cup, and I'm going to have a banana and a Filet-O-Fish, and somebody's going to bring me a...
Guy talk!
And then I'm going to wave at everybody and say...
hello there!
But a lot of it's based around charity. It's at Doral, and we raise a lot of money for charities. We could also have to have it.
You also make a lot of money from charities. Like, you don't give the fucking site away for free. You don't donate Doral. You charge charities to have events there. You know, like a billionaire would.
One of the big golf tournaments, professional golf tournament there live, and that'll take place over the next few days.
Right. So you wreck the economy and then fly off to go to a charity dinner where you'll eat, where you didn't give any money, and then you'll play golf in with people that are actual golfers, and you can go, I won a golf championship, but I wasn't even in the entire state.
At Doral from, I guess, tomorrow till I think they have a pro-am right now, but I'll be speaking tonight. I think I'm making a speech to the players, great players.
Great. yes. Well, after a 4% drop in the Dow and $3 trillion wiped out in the economy, I'll be giving a speech to a bunch of fucking golfers.
Some of the best players in the world.
Golf is not a sport. It's a pastoral activity for old people.
And ultimately, hopefully, the two tours are going to merge. That would be good. I'm involved in that too. But hopefully, we're going to.
Yes, you're in business with the Saudis. We know.
Get the two tours to merge. You have the PGA Tour, you have the LIV Tour, and I think having them merge would be a great thing.
Mr. President.
Yes.
About the tariffs, do you have any?
You mean having the Saudis swallow up America's golf industry? That's what you mean by merge.
Message for the American businesses that might feel the impact of any reciprocal tariffs coming from the EU, for example, or from other countries?
Well, I think it's going to all work out. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your plant or you build your product, make your product in the U.S. And so a lot of people, I mean, there's going to be a trend.
What if you make your product in the U.S. with parts you can only get overseas? Maybe they have a different take.
Transition period, because they're going to be building instead of paying tariffs to some other place. But there are no tariffs. You know, if you think there are no tariffs, all you have to do is build, make your product in the United States. So it's and a lot of people are doing that. They're moving like the auto.
Also, for the record, you pay taxes though. You're not removing taxes on them. They still pay something. They're just not paying the tariff.
Companies, I know, I spoke to two of the.
By the way, no country charges tariffs on its domestic industry. Is that news to him? Nobody does.
4 or 5 that are really active, and they've already started moving their parts making things out of Mexico, out of Canada, and into the United States.
No, they haven't. They've signaled they may do it in 2027.
Do you have a sense of how long Elon Musk's mission will last and when he will depart?
Well, Elon is fantastic, and I think he's a patriot, and I think it's a shame what they're doing with his car company. And a great car. It's a great car, great product.
I love Tesla.
And it tells you what a patriot he is. He's amazing. No, I mean, as long as he'd like, I like smart.
If he's a patriot, why does he get his aluminum from Russia? If he's a patriot, why is his biggest factory in Shanghai? As a baseline, seems curious.
People, and he's a smart person. I also like him personally. When he endorsed me, that's when I really got to know him. I knew him a little bit before that, but not much, and then he endorsed me. And
by the way, does Lugnuts have to be standing there the whole time during this whole tariff thing, in case Trump wants to, like the questions get too much, and he just taps him in and goes, "Hey, bullshit these people for a minute. I got to go take a dump," or is he really pulling the strings with these other folks? Has Lugnuts been assigned to Trump to push this shit?
It's a very strong, embracing endorsement, as we all know. And
yes, a jumping endorsement.
I would say Elon will stay for a certain period of time, and then he's going to want to get back to his businesses full time.
Yeah, because, I mean, to fuck him up worse than he's already fucked him up, he has to actually be there.
But he's done a fantastic job. We found hundreds of, think of it, just hundreds of, we found millions of dollars of fraud.
And was he going to say hundreds of dollars of fraud?
Abuse and waste, and they're still going. I mean, they're going strong. They found something today that's horrible.
Oh yeah, what was it? They found something. It was horrible. It was horrible. Tell us, please. Let us know. I mean, if it was horrible, I mean, how many of us can say we legitimately saw something horrible today and we don't remember what it was?
Horrible. So what they found, well, you'll find out very soon.
Yeah, you're going to find out pretty soon. But let me tell you, it's horrible.
They found is incredible.
It's incredibly horrible. It's incredible and horrible.
And I give him a lot of credit. He's got some very smart people with him.
Do you think he can finish?
They're working very closely with
the horror.
Our secretaries and the people that are the heads of.
Do you think you would appoint him to another position once his 130 days?
I think Elon's great, but he also has a company to run, or a number of companies to run. You know, that he.
No, actually, SpaceX is doing better without him hanging around. I would just like to say, for the record, you notice how their mission quality has improved a little bit since he hasn't been on site.
He can do this, that he can find the time.
And then he showed up at that one launch and.
He loves the country. That's why he does it.
Yes, he does love the country. South Africa. Well, not as it is now, as it was in, before the America and their stupid dog got involved.
But we're in no rush. But there'll be a point at which time Elon's going to have to leave.
Sorry,
yes, I agree.
A specific date.
I would think a few months.
Even when Elon leaves and goes back to being CEO, will Doge stick around in some kind of capacity?
Yeah, it'll still Doge itself. Yeah. At some point, just so you understand, I don't want to get it wrong. I want Elon to stay as long as possible. Number one, I like him. Number two, he's doing a great job. Number three, he is a patriot. That's why he's doing this. And he's, it's very costly for him. But.
No, it's not. It is not costly for him. His fucking stupid business decisions are costly for him.
So I want him to stay as long as.
Yes, 21st century suffragettes. It is right now. I'm trying to find a remedy for it, but right now I cannot. I'm working on it though. I think I have a workaround, but trust me, not easy.
Possible, but there'll be a point where he's going to have to leave, and when he does, the secretaries will take totally over, and Doge will stay active. We have a lot of smart people. A lot of those people, I believe, are going to go into the agencies, and they'll work on it from the.
Yes, I believe you call that the deep state. So you're planting deep state operatives, I think is how you would put it. You take partisans and you put them in positions of, in nonpartisan areas of agencies, and make sure that your work continues in spite of any, the United States or the population wanting to change things. All the things that you said Biden and Obama did, you're doing that.
You mentioned auto companies that you've been speaking with. Have you spoken to any executives today?
Yeah. I don't want to say who, but I speak to a lot of.
Yeah, I talked to Tim Ford, and I talked to Jerry GMC himself, and Captain Nissan. I met him the other day. He flew by the plane and knocked on the window, and we talked for a little bit. Amazing superpowers. Mrs. Honda was here for a little while. She left.
The auto executives, but we have much more than autos. We have chips coming in. We have steel coming in. The steel factories are opening up and expanding at levels that people have not seen. Also,
that little side eye, like, yeah, steel. It's making a huge steel. Steel's doing great.
Tell us a little bit about your meeting with Laura Loomer and Mike Waltz today, and how that came about.
So Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. She is a very strong person, and I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people, and sometimes I listen to those recommendations, like I do with everybody. I listen to everybody, and then I make
everybody
a decision. But I saw her yesterday. She was at the ceremony.
I think the word is anybody,
and she'll always have something to say. Usually very constructive.
What did she recommend?
She'll always have something to say, usually constructive. Okay.
She recommended certain people for jobs.
She recommended certain people for jobs. No, she didn't. She recommended you fire certain people. You fired. I don't know. There used to be a show on where some guy said that. It was a stupid line, and the guy who said it never actually fired anybody. The producers made the choice, but
adding to the administration, not
Adding.
Who did she
Not
recommend?
firing?
Well, she'll recommend that too. But yesterday she recommended some people for jobs.
Did she have any?
Yes. She recommended they enter the private sector after leaving the job in the government.
Anything to do with the NSC aides who were ousted?
No, not at all.
Do you know how many, sir? Do you know how many from the NSC?
Not many.
Was it 5, a dozen?
I really don't know.
I really don't know how many people were fired on her recommendation from my national security team. Fuck.
There were a couple that I know.
Who did Laura recommend hiring?
Well, I don't want to say that, but she's
I don't remember the governor's names or the head of the fucking Ford. Do you think I'm going to remember some dipshit she suggested? Besides, her mouth was
recommended some good people over the years. She's been in the party a long time. She's done a good job.
Do you trust your national security staff is doing what you want them to do?
Sure. We've done very well. We've had big success with the Houthis, as you probably know.
Well, yes. I heard that from Goldberg. Also, Houthis.
Nobody's been able to do it like us.
Yeah, I'm still on. I started late, but and I haven't even gotten to the stuff I intended to cover.
They were shooting the boats out of the water. They were sinking ships. That's what they want to do. They're getting a big charge out of sinking ships.
No, they weren't. They captured more than they sank.
And unfortunately, they're associated with Iran very closely. So they have to.
Unfortunately, they're associated with Iran. You mean like Russia is?
Stop that, but we've hit them very hard, and we've been hitting them very hard.
Sir, did you talk to Congresswoman Luna about her resolution to end maternity? But Congresswoman, about her resolution to allow proxy voting for new mothers? Did you speak to them?
I did, and I would say this. I guess there's two sides to it, right? It's a little controversial. I don't know why it's controversial. I think she's great. Anna.
Do you support her movement?
Anna. You mean Anna Paulina Luna? Anna, sorry, she's Anna Paulina Luna. Anna Paulina Luna. Which, Anna Paulina Luna is the thing to say when you want to ruin Johnson's day. Boop-a-doo-doo. Hey, Anna Paulina Luna. It's a thing to say.
I think that's, and I'm going to let the speaker make the decision, but I like the idea of.
That's the other thing. He, you know that thing that Mike Johnson shut down all the votes this week because of the Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah, that thing that happened. He came out in support of her against Mike Johnson after they'd scuttled all the votes this week. So if I could, again, just chucking matches.
Being able to, if you're having a baby, I think you should be able to call in and vote. I'm in favor of that.
During the birth, or
I understand some people aren't. I'm not involved in the issue, but I did. I spoke to Anna yesterday.
Anna. Where are you, Anna? Come forth and show us all your great. She is great with child. Anna Paulina Luna.
She and some people feel strongly about it, and I would agree with them. Yeah.
Sir, you mentioned your wrong.
This is so fucking boring. Sorry. Okay. You know what? I'm over this. So, real quick, before I go, because I kept you guys long and I appreciate you being here for I mean, it's like a real news day. So, you know, I had some shit to cover. Where the fuck did this thing? Oh, it's in another video. Sorry. I was like, where did this go? So, apparently, Sam Cedar was on Peanut Butter Dickhead's show, and they went off on the whole tariffs stuff. And I gotta see if they. I'm trying to find the moment that they. Let's see. Let's see. They talked about the tariff stuff a bit, and I'm going to find it real quick since I got you guys here. But in the meantime, hit that like, share the show, etc., etc. I'm going to find this in here. I'll just bring it in so you guys can look at what I'm doing. There's Sam. They parked him over. They either swapped out some of the doors in the fucking, I don't know, fucking Times Square men's room where they do this fucking show, or they moved him further down the bench. So it gets taxed 90 cents. It's agreed. Thing of private. Trying to find the part where they jump into all this tariff shit. It was 131. Hold on, 131. Let's see if this is, because one of the things that this dude said, one of the guy, or it was 141, I think it was. Okay, so I think this is where they're talking about what their politics are.
Local level, I mean, I can't name every Democrat I voted on a local level. On local level, things have gotten much more nationalized with politics, even on a local level.
Yeah. Let's go to the next story. Go pull up the clip of Xi and Putin talking to each other. I'm curious to get his feedback.
Also, it's Xi. It's not Xi. It's not Z-H-I. It's X-I. Xi. Xi Jinping. It's not Xi Jinping. It's Xi Jinping. And it matters because there is a zh in the Chinese language.
If you have the video clip, it's on Twitter.
You can have a last name Z-H-I. And when people call him Xi Jinping, it just annoys the fuck out of me.
You can find it. It's all over the place when they're talking. But if you want to finish your thought, you can finish your thought while he's finding this video.
Sam, let me talk about lead.
Yeah, Sam, can I just really fast?
Oh, there you go. You found it? Okay, good. Make that bigger. So this is Xi and Putin talking. If you can go back so you can read what they're saying. Okay, there you go. Check the audio to see if we have the audio.
Change is coming that hasn't happened in 100
go
years.
For it.
Can you hear it? Change is coming that hasn't happened
Press
in 100
play.
years. And we are driving that change together.
Это как раз сейчас перемены, которые не было в течение 100 лет. Как вместе двигаем эти перемены.
An Asian guy speaking Russian. That's crazy.
Wait, who?
Why would he's the Russian translator for the Chinese premier?
Who is saying that?
That's his translator. That Xi's telling Putin this, but his translator is.
Xi's telling Putin that change is coming?
No, Putin said that.
Is it Putin who said it, or is it the?
No.
Yes, Putin is saying it's a change is coming, and they haven't seen in 100 years. By the way, in 100 years, 100 years ago, he may very well be talking about the Russian-Sino war at this rate and the loss of territory that they want to get back.
The Asian guy.
Here's the other thing too. She leaves and Putin is left on the stoop waving at him, which is a bigger deal than the words they exchanged.
Xi's translator. He's translating in Russian.
Make the tweet smaller to find out who's saying this at this point.
Yeah, it sort of is important to know.
Very important. Yeah. Xi says it to Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Xi
she says
tells
Putin. Yeah,
Putin.
that's
Xi, X-I, fucking hell.
That's Xi's translator, which threw me off because I'm like, yo, that guy's.
By the way,
I mean, look,
can we watch Putin wave goodbye like a 16-year-old girl
Let me see,
is missing his boyfriend? Please watch this.
Hold on. Let me see. Bye.
He does it 4 more times.
Bye. I love you.
Watch
Bye.
this.
Bye.
And even as he drove off, he's
Bye.
Jog down the street.
Yeah.
It very clearly shows who's the boss in that relationship.
But that's
and it's
pretty.
she.
That's pretty scary though, Sam. Like to see these two guys, two of our biggest adversaries, coming together and doing.
Oh my God! This is all like Biden drove them together. Fucking hell!
It's gonna be good from now on. It's kind of a scary. That's a scary ass moment, if you ask me.
I mean, I am really I am really reluctant to get too engaged in wanting to have a conflict with China. I mean, this has been coming for a couple of decades. Back when I was doing radio, I interviewed Gary Hart, who sat on a commission right before 9/11 on the greatest threats to the United States in the 21st century. And they had a commission of about, 30, 40 people, had them lined up. What do you think is the #1 threat to the United States? most of the people said non-state actor terrorists. That was pretty prescient. Some said state-supported terrorists. One person said China. This is in 1999 or 2000. And 3 months later, they meet again. Same thing happens. Everybody laughs at the person in China. Yeah. That person never came back onto the commission.
Wow.
It was Dick Cheney's wife.
Oh, wow.
And I'm quite convinced that for a long time, the neoconservatives, primarily in the Republican Party, but some, I think, in, the Democratic Party, but primarily in the Republican Party, have been, worried about China. And it's all about economic dominance. And I think that,
Okay, sorry. This is not the party we're talking about, but I totally disagree. And you guys know why. I've covered this a bunch of times. They move on, I think, in this shorter part. Okay, hold on. This isn't the older one, is it? Fuck me, it is. It's the wrong clip. Hold on. Yeah, this was the easygoing one. Wait 1 second. I'll just scroll back to it. Annoying. Because everybody looks the same. All right, here we go. I'll bring the other one back out. Yeah, here we go. This is team with Sam Cedar. This is about 2 into it.
Dominance.
I know that's the older one. Sorry, my bad. Back in, and then we go back to here, and it's this one.
Take advantage of me.
Okay, here we go. So this is them talking about this tariff shit. Okay, here we go. Trump announces Liberation Day tariffs. So this is the peanut butter dickhead crowd. Same point in the conversation, same time in the conversation. This is peanut butter dickhead at large. That's why there were fewer names on the thing, because this was earlier. He had him on 2 years ago before they had everybody sign these fucking things, before he got like Mike Flynn's name and all these other criminals to sign these fucking safety deposit boxes like they're in a fucking bank. You could take that to the bank, and we're right here. So sure. But this is Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. Heated debate with Sam Cedar.
Set to unleash Liberation Day tariffs. President Trump will unveil Liberation Day tariffs on Wednesday at 4 p.m.
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
I'm going to
in the White House's Rose Garden, promising to stop America being ripped off and deliver a new golden age of U.S. industry. Though U.S. advisors left reports suggest for some days.
My fellow Americans, this is
Saw this.
born the day America wealthy.
President discussing how the tariffs will help eliminate income tax. Possibly.
From 1789 to 1913, we were in fact with the VAT problem. We don't have
we
that.
watched all this.
1913 for foreign countries, which do a very abrupt. It would have been gone far. The ramp system, a great job. And Italy is a country very wealthy.
Even if,
and I'm gonna come to you.
So markets.
Oh, by the way, this guy kisses Trump's ass more than any other person on the show. I don't know what his name is, but he's all fucking in on this. And the other guys want to support Trump, but this guy is like, it's a lifetime commitment.
Of continuity, even if continuity is rooted in, trade inequality and things have been going on for decades.
Yep.
And to get through the shift, to get through the food poisoning, we can see markets react to sentiment, and markets don't know what to make of this. How many tariffs are going to stay for a day versus a week versus a month? You don't know. How many tariffs are going to shift?
First of all, if they only stay for a day, a week, or a month, they're meaningless. If we zero out tariffs both directions, there are onset economic impacts that go with that country's purchasing power as well.
Israel actually backed down and said, okay, we're done. Yesterday, correct? Israel went, hang on, we're good.
Really? Israel? Yeah. Again, them dropping their trade barriers in exchange for what? Him unleashing the 2,000-pound bombs?
Backing off. We're done here. Interesting. Canada moved.
Why would that be interesting? It's shocking they have any at all. And it's because Trump will run interference for them if it doesn't benefit Netanyahu.
A couple of them, not the rest of them. Canada's still figuring it out, but they're blinking. Canada is blinking. So now the question is going to.
They're not blinking. They're not. And USMCA should have cleared all this shit up to start with.
Be how long does all this take? And the markets, the markets don't like it. The markets don't like the sentiment of uncertainty. And that's why you have Jim Cramer and other people. Oh, we're getting killed out here. You're getting killed because you like the status quo that you had a minute ago, because you knew how to play that game and you knew how those markets worked.
Can I just say also, on top of all this whole conversation, because there seems to be a myth that's going around with all of this, that somehow the national debt, our government's debt, that we have taken on because of the needs of our people during extraordinary times, which is bigger than everyone else's because it's also our economy is bigger than everyone else's. And that makes sense in that context, that we have borrowed a lot of money to protect our citizens from 9/11, the 2008 crash, and COVID, and that the rolling effects of those things are rather large, have nothing to do with our trade deficit. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, the quality of life of the average American is higher because of a trade deficit, because we could buy cheaper goods from overseas, that you don't have to be rich to afford IKEA-level furniture. And our debt is not the world's fault. But I will say, they are not factoring in the extensions of the U.S. economy that are all the other countries that use the dollar as their currency. And I don't mean just for petroleum and trade. I mean, like Turkey, that basically their entire economy is run on the U.S. dollar, or Argentina, that is on the dollar.
And respectfully, they're there to trade and make money in an increasing market. What is easier? It's easier to stay yesterday with what we've got, or there's a greater goal. And the greater goal is American jobs. And the jobs report was better than people thought. Huh, interesting. That's not a headline. Why is that buried? And
gee, I don't know. You seem to buy all the job reports that happened under Biden until you didn't.
You've got the uncertainty of the markets. Now, the uncertainty of markets makes everybody look at their 401k and look at the things and be concerned. And yes, there's concern there. But you got to look down the street and see where we're going. And
what if your off-ramp for retirement is closer than the sunny spot down the street? What if your road is right there and shit's hitting the fan and it's kind of like, well, fuck you, bad time to be, I guess it sucks to be you, bad timing for your retirement.
It is not easy to get through the food poisoning, but there is life on the other side, and you can see that's what the president is talking.
No. You're assuming you'll survive the food poisoning.
About. And I think we got to trust it, and we got to look at what's going on. We can
also, what's the food poisoning? This is the idea that we've always had food poisoning because of the trade the way it is, or that food poisoning is what Trump gave everybody food poisoning so they would shit out all the bad trade.
We see little islands of change going on, so let's find out how everybody else moves on these tariffs.
Sam.
Right, and by that time it will be too late.
You said tariff was the last word. That was the only time you used the word tariffs. Look, I am in favor of tariffs when it is part of a specific agenda to build a certain industry or a certain industry within a certain region.
By the way, it should come as no shock that Sam says a lot of very sensible things.
This is absolute insanity. First off, they're going to use this as potential revenue. Like he says, it's not going to replace the income tax, but what they're going to do is they're going to use it as an excuse to cut taxes on wealthy people. You guys will be very excited about that. But who's going to pay that tax? If it's $600 billion a year, as they're saying, over a 10-year period, it's going to be $6 trillion. That is going to be an average of $5,000 tax on Americans. It is a regressive tax. I like taxation, but I like progressive taxation because $5,000 for somebody making.
Oh, by the way, all of these assholes who view themselves as, as master capitalists on this panel think progressive taxation is the kind of taxation that progressives would want. Not the more you make, like proportionately you pay more taxes, and then poor people who don't make anything don't pay any at all. That's progressive tax. They think progressive taxes and progressive is the same. It's the same word. So they must, this is like commie taxes.
$40,000 is a much bigger problem than $5,000 for me or for you. And so this is a regressive tax on Americans. Now, if it's to work to build up industry. And I don't know how we're going to have a banana industry in this country, or how we're going to have a lumber industry to rival Canada's, because we just don't have the wood, and so on. I mean, people get the idea. You know, there's certain industries you can actually say, this is one we're going to build up. Maybe there will be a low-cost clothing business that revives in this country, but I doubt it. But
by the way, earlier in the conversation, I think they didn't know what the word textile meant.
If tariffs are meant to work to build up industry, that means people aren't paying those taxes. So the tariffs may not raise the money, but what will happen is, and I think you understand this too about pricing, if the price of goods goes up on average, and it looks like in some of these places it's going to go way above 10%. I mean, some of, like, Vietnam, like 39%, China, 75%. They're adding all of these tariffs on. It's insane. Then U.S. companies, to the extent that there are ones that are making these same goods, they have between 0 and 75% to raise their prices. And they will, because, the price of this, there's a certain elasticity, and they can justify raising their prices 5% if their nearest competitor is, 25% raise in price. I mean, they'll do it because, there's some products that people just can't do without. So this is such a disaster. And of course, what it also does is, last time we had
all this well said, by the way. Wait till you see their reaction, because it's really about how badly the PDB guys, the bros, want to polish this turd for Trump. They just want to follow him in the parade and use their lower jaw as a shovel.
Had a major financial crisis in this country in 2008. It took 6 years for the stock market to get back at parity. You're talking about 401ks have been a disaster insofar as, like, people just don't put as much money in them as they should because they don't have the money on a regular basis. But God help those people if there wasn't Social Security, a robust Social Security, because if you've got to retire and you're 65 and you were planning on retiring, you have a small 401k, it is screwed. And it may not come back for years. Maybe it'll come back tomorrow. But
how do you feel about reciprocal tariffs?
Here's the other absolute insanity. Those tariffs that he claimed on that chart are not tariffs. Every economist out there has been saying, where did he get these numbers? And they're starting to figure out that they did some weird.
Yeah.
There's countries on there that don't even have people in them. It's bizarre.
But by the way, this is a meme that's been happening all day. Everybody knew this. Watch these guys' reaction when Sam says there's people without countries. And you'll see how desperate they are to protect Trump.
They took, like, the CIA fact book and just made a list of countries. I mean, it's completely for show.
Which countries?
There's Google it. There's like 1 or 2 places.
This guy gets so, like, verklempt.
There's no people.
Every single one of those countries.
No. They released a big release. He'll find it. And these are not actual tariffs that are being applied to us.
Every single one of these countries.
There is India. Are we sure there's people there?
China, the EU, Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan,
Do it
India.
on
Oh, good. And I this is why if I ever go on this asshole's show, which will probably never happen, is because he's a clout fucker and I don't have enough subscribers. You should subscribe if you want me to come onto this show and give him what for. That said, in some countries, tariff, no population, I don't know. Yeah. This, I mean, we've been seeing this shit all fucking day. Let's see. There you go. Hold on. Think they do it. Yeah, here we go. Trump slaps tariffs on remote islands with no humans, but a thriving penguin population. Like, this was everywhere fucking today. Like, at least be ready for the memes.
South Korea, Thailand, Switzerland, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Which of those countries aren't there not people living?
Put in the Trump just added a tariff on a country with no.
All right, but okay, so he added one country that maybe
it's just an indication of how slapdash this is.
No, dude,
but these are not tariffs. These are not
on one
those reciprocal tariffs. They're not. Those aren't tariffs. He is combined. He is basically what they've tried to figure out is, like, where'd they get these numbers from, and they have taken the trade deficit and divided it by what we send there. And that's the way that they've assumed that that's a tariff. It's basically, they're just saying we have these trade deficits. And of course we have trade deficits with certain places because there's some products that we're just never going to make. And there's some places that don't have the.
And also we're the biggest buyer in the world. Yeah, Herd Island.
That we have.
Right.
I mean, so this is just bizarre. And even like former Trump trade people were just like, well, maybe it's just an opening salvo for a negotiation. And maybe it is. I mean, you know, like I'm just fortunate that I'm not planning on retiring soon and my 401k isn't decimated. But this is going to cause inflation and these prices are not going to come down. I mean, Trump is trying to tell U.S. automakers, don't raise your prices. And if he wants to impose price controls, he would not be the first Republican president to do this. Nixon was the first president and the only president, as far as I know, to do price controls, at least in the modern era. I'm not necessarily against price controls in certain situations, but this is like such an own goal. It's fascinating.
Also, by the way,
of course.
Carter did some price controls at one point, and at some point, one of them thinks that Carter was president before Nixon.
No, Jimmy Carter's waging price controls for decades before Nixon. Whoops, checking my notes.
Sorry?
Of course.
No, Jimmy Carter's waging price controls for decades before Nixon. Whoops, checking.
Jimmy Carter's price controls were decades before Nixon. Carter wasn't even years after Nixon. He wasn't even a decade. He wasn't half a decade after Nixon.
Of course.
No, Jimmy Carter's waging price controls for decades before Nixon. Whoops, checking my notes. No, leave this after.
Right.
It wasn't just Nixon.
Well, Nixon started it, right?
And there was no other president since
Nixon started it.
I was just kind of correcting that.
Okay.
I was just correcting the fact that Carter was decades before Nixon.
I'm for price controls.
You are for price controls.
Well, I think we should have applied some in the wake of COVID. Yes, there was a lot of gouging going on. I think everybody knows that.
I think it's.
I mean, there's plenty of data that at least 40% of the inflation.
But and look at the look on that other guy's face. I wish they have a lot of Sam on here because they're trying to. It's clickbait anger shit for their regular viewers. But every time they cut to that other dude, the one who's like the most angry about the Epstein shit and all that, he's so fucking wound up about this because he knows they're gonna hit a fucking
function
wall.
Of gouging in some form or another.
Well, Sam, number one, respect for you for being here. I don't think, genuinely, whether you're a progressive or democratic socialist or skew socialist, you're talking to a bunch of capitalists and an angry patriot.
Also, not capitalists, not at all. You can't call yourself a capitalist if you support Elon Musk and his entirely government-backed war chest. You're not capitalists. Fuck off. You may be crony capitalist, but you don't get to knock off the adjective.
That's cool. We're not going to change your mind. You're probably not going to change our mind. But what we're solving for is the truth. The reality. Yeah.
You're solving for the truth. That Carter was decades before Nixon. And tariffs aren't taxes.
Is these reciprocal tariffs, what Pat asked you about. Are you familiar with the golden rule?
Oh, dear. Okay, this is why I wanted to play this. And you guys know, fuck me, you know this is why I'm going to get wound up. The golden rule. Now, just to be clear, in terms of the golden rule.
The golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rule.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's the most selfish phrase on magnanimity that has ever existed. But let's hear this dipshit's interpretation of what Jesus Christ was saying.
Do unto others as you want to do unto them. Is that
bingo? Do you abide by the?
No, Sam. No, you don't do unto others as you want to do unto them. That's not the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Sam fucks it up, and then this guy goes bingo. So I don't know why they're on the same
golden rule.
I mean, in my personal relationships, yes.
There you go. So the golden rule is you want to do something to me, I'm going to do it to you. If you treat me.
No, it isn't. No, that is the exact opposite of the golden rule, you asshole. The golden rule doesn't have anything to do with the other person's behavior. That's why it's a moral buoy. That's why it raises the content of the interaction and raises the quality of the interaction. Because I don't care if you're a piece of shit. I'm going to treat you like I would like to be treated. It is a very namaste kind of thing to do. The God in me salutes the God in you. The standard I would like to have you talk to me, and that's how I'm going to discuss you. I don't want to be treated like shit. I'm not going to treat you like shit. This is the exact fucking opposite. And again, these are the Darwinists. These aren't the Christians of the conservative right. Peanut butter dickhead calls himself an independent, even though he's voted for Trump every single time and would never vote for a Democrat and always votes Republican. So basically what you're saying is you lie on your voter registration every fucking year.
Fairly, I'll treat you fairly. If you're...
No, it doesn't mean if you treat me fairly, I'll treat you fairly. The golden rule is I'm going to treat you fairly, whether you treat me fairly or not. I'll turn the other cheek, when I'm done hitting you. Jesus Christ.
Good with me, I'll be good with you. But
what
if you want to...
constitutes fair?
Hold on.
No. Again, it is literally the opposite. Like, every time this asshole describes it, it just drives me fucking crazy. Like, it's so base. It's such a simple concept. And the way he's describing it is like just childish. I know you are, but what am I? Like,
if you want to actually take advantage of me, then all of a sudden we might have to have a economic war. And that's...
No, that's not the golden rule at all. That's just base warfare, human interaction. That's how bar fights start.
What's happening? So if you show up that list, I know you want to focus on the one random country that you can't name. Hold on.
Tell us how England is taking advantage of us.
Well, England is part of the UK. We understand that. But if you want...
Oh, that's why. Yeah. A United Kingdom, that's automatically.
Well, how is the UK?
Well, they're borrowing the word united.
Hey, Sam, hold on. When people talk, you listen. And then when you talk...
Yeah, he wants to be interrupted. That's why he's interrupting you.
I listen. That's how conversations go. You know that.
I'm just asking you to clarify your statement.
I'm going to get there. So the way that these tariffs work is if they're doing something to us, we'll do something to them. Rob, show the picture. So I would love to hear what you think. So all these countries have people living in them. All these countries, these, China, the EU, that's part of, all those countries over there. You get the UK over there, Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan, India. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people living in India, South Korea, Thailand. All these countries are charging us. So the reality is, if you go through the numbers, not feeling, Sam,
there's the whole list.
Sam, I need you to pay attention. I'm on the phone.
Charging us. I got it.
Here we go now.
The whole list.
They're charging us way more
90% of Vietnam
to access their markets than we are charging them.
That is not.
Yeah, those aren't their actual tariffs.
That's the whole point. Those are not tariffs.
Stop it. You're going to have to...
Rob, do me a favor.
So we're charging on average 2.5%. The EU is charging on average 20%. Japan is 24%. China 34%. Taiwan 32%.
No, they aren't. And this guy actually thinks that this is the problem. This motherfucker is never going to look past this. Like, this guy thinks that if I charge you 2.5% on every unit and you buy 10 units, I'm charging you 25% on every unit.
Vietnam 46%. These is what the numbers are. Now, if you have different numbers, I'd love to see them. But the reality is, some of these countries are our friends, and some of these countries are our foes. And as Trump says, if you want to listen to what Trump says, in many cases, many of our friends are a lot worse. He cited Australia won't even let us sell U.S. beef. So,
because of mad cow disease.
All these situations are actual numbers. He talks about the golden rule. There's a similarity there. Okay,
he went back to it.
Golden age of America is what he's talking about.
I see. So the golden rule and we became the golden age of America because we treated other people like we perceived they were treating us. Not how they were treating us, but how we perceived they were. So the fuck your feelings crowd literally wants a feelings economy.
Because this is a way to bring down our deficits, to reduce taxes. I would love to hear if you had a better idea.
To bring down our deficits,
these are trade deficits.
Okay.
So we have a trade deficit with Canada of $200 billion a year.
Of course we do. We're gigantic, and they aren't.
They charge us, in many cases, 200 to 300% for dairy. Okay, Mexico is an example.
No, they do not. No, you're absolutely 100% wrong on the dairy. No. Your dairy thing is absolutely wrong.
You think this is my dairy thing?
Yes, this is not.
what Trump said in his speech.
Yes, Trump lied. There is not a single pint of
Just
milk
like you lied
of dairy
about
that goes.
how many countries don't have people. Pretty sure India's got a couple people.
That dairy goes to Canada. Now, we don't. If we sell a certain threshold, tariffs are applied, but we don't reach that threshold ever. There are not a dollar.
Because it's too damn expensive to access the marketplace.
No.
Anyway, I'm talking about the sweeping.
Again, he knows nothing about this. This guy, that was my point. I wanted to show you guys that little piece because the golden rule part, like, just sums up how fucking thick those guys are. PBD, I hope you and the other chuckle nuts on there see this. I hope someone shares this clipped video with you. I hope you watch it. And I hope you watch every time I put your show on, because it's a recurring theme that you guys talk out of your ass, and it's not polite to talk with your mouth full when it's up your ass. You guys are singularly, as a group, the most diluted non-Blaze podcast that exists. It is fucking stunning to me how, like, I mean, it should just be the Dunning-Kruger podcast. Like, this is a bunch of guys who are totally convinced they are better than everyone else. All the elite shit you hear from the right, all the, we don't need to listen to experts. We don't need to listen to the elites. The elites are controlling us and all that kind of stuff. Every one of these motherfuckers thinks they are elite amongst mankind. PBD and his whole fucking crew. And yet, every single time they make these dumb, repetitive, like, blathering mistakes, and I'm being generous here, in their desperate attempt to cover for Trump. It's pathetic. And the one thing that, like, that dude who was getting, like, all pissy with Sam is the same guy who was like, I can't figure out why the Trump administration would be reticent to release the Epstein files. It makes no fucking sense, except for Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 fucking years. And would it have taken you that long to figure out he's a pedophile? And if it would have, why would you show your face in public? Wouldn't you be too embarrassed to be on the fucking internet if you're saying, yeah, I would have been friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. I never would have fucking spotted it, even after he was arrested for solicitation of a minor, even after he brought underage girls on my fucking airplane, even after when I rode on his plane, there were teenage girls he was not related to wandering around. If it would have taken you more than 25 fucking years to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, then congratulations. You're one of the few people on earth that's thicker than Trump. But these guys would all think that I have Trump derangement syndrome, because I point out that Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Water, Trump Vodka, Trump Airlines, Trump Football all ate shit and sucked, that The Celebrity Apprentice was a comedy show because it was an absurd concept that people who were successful in the industry as actors, as musicians, and as fucking jugglers and magicians would take fucking advice from a failed businessman with piss-colored cotton candy hair and an office so shitty they had to recreate a fake one because they couldn't do it from his real office because it smelled and nobody wanted to go there. I don't even need that, though. I don't even need the fact that he's a fucking failure and you shouldn't let him. You should take that and go, no wonder that I will judge his tariff ideas on the same plane as Trump steaks, Trump University, Trump airplane, Trump fucking football, I don't know, Trump fucking his Truth Social network. All bad. But I don't even need that. I don't even need to do that. You know why? Because the fact that this motherfucker was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years and it was a fucking shock to him, or he won't even admit to it. We've never seen him admit that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile in any form, and he won't in an interview. Like asking Trump if Epstein was a pedophile is like asking him if Putin's a killer. Like he'd go, well, we're all kind of pedophiles, aren't we? Like that would be his fucking response. I don't need another reason to hate that motherfucker. That's enough. And so the idea that I owe him some level of charity in my assumption that he knows what the fuck he's doing, if you want me to trust him with the entire economy, why would I trust the entire economy to someone who allegedly couldn't figure out Jeffrey Epstein was a fucking pedophile under those conditions for a quarter century? Now, I think he's lying, and I think he absolutely knew, and he didn't give a shit because Jeffrey Epstein would like break girls in, and then when they turned 18, Trump would, you know, do business with Jeffrey. And once they were over the age of 18, he felt like he was covered and it didn't matter. Put him in an apartment, have a little tryst thing, have a little Matt Gaetz kind of arrangement. Yeah, he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well when she went to jail for procreating local teenagers. Fuck off. So, if he knew Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and didn't do anything about it, why would I trust him with the economy? If he's so fucking stupid that he couldn't see that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile for a quarter century after they partied together exclusively, why would I let him be in charge? Why would I trust him with the economy? You think he's just like he's like Rain Man with the economy, but he has, you know, he's got all these, maybe Hitler on the weekends, but during the week, he's all deacon of the church. So the fact that this dude can't put it together, that those wires don't touch for some reason, means that he is so dedicated to sucking off Trump's truth pipe that he will blind himself to the worst types of human behavior. And so, of course, of course he's got misfiring synapses where he can't figure out what the golden rule is, or he doesn't understand that the big list Trump put up didn't include the countries that don't have any people in them, because he put a tariff on all countries blindly. That was the point, including ones that are parts of the Antarctic. The PBD guys are as thick as a whale omelet, and they will do everything they can to not be seen as the gullible dickheads they are. And it is a common illness on the right. It is brutally incurable. And I got to say, like, their boost, PBD dickhead and all of his guys, that show got a jump start at some point, like picked up speed right about the same time the whole tenant media shit started. So I would be curious to see if they had any investors that helped them kind of build their set and build out the show and start turning it into a real production. Now they got a lot of subscribers, So they may not need it. But that doesn't mean they won't take it. So that's it. I'll let you guys go. I know I kept you a little late tonight. I appreciate you hanging around. But it is the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. What are you going to do? And I want to thank the trolls and maggots who came by today. It was adorable. I loved watching you guys swing your little arms as I have my hand on your forehead. It's precious. And I hope the fact that you don't upset me doesn't upset you too much. Because I genuinely, we kind of need you to expand us into the algorithm. You know, that crazy little computer thing that guarantees that Trump's not going to be able to get China to sell TikTok because he's stupid. Meanwhile, next, Rob Glenn's going to be on with me tomorrow, and with a special guest appearance by Elon Musk, I have no doubt.
Oh, hello there!
And I think we're going to take a look at his new
The
invention.
Illudium Q36 Explosive Space Modulator.
Yes, here he is, super genius. That said, hold on. Hit the like. Please subscribe if you can. It doesn't cost you anything. On all the channels you see. Just do it across the board. You can subscribe to my Substack as well for free. I know there's a paid tier, but I don't really use it because again, this is all about getting the content out. This is all about reaching as many people and helping them have, like, you know, when you're in an argument about this shit and you wish you had like the facts and you wish you had something to say to this particular point, and I hopefully I'm delivering some of that to you, right? So that you just have I just a little Hal walking around your hanging out in your back pocket in case you need to whip it out at any time, and that's what I'll continue to be here for. So if you can't support the show, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. And that's why I don't put anything behind a paywall. I don't have a members only version of the show. I don't have a subscribers only version of my chats anywhere. People on Twitch will tell you this. I do not set it on that, you know, and I'm not going to. That is my commitment. So I appreciate you guys. Take care. And like I said, if you can support the show, do it. But if you can't, and it makes you nervous because of the economic shit that's happening, I completely understand. Please don't. Just keep watching and enjoy yourself, and don't sweat it at all. Someday in the future, when this storm too shall pass, you can buy me a cup of coffee someplace, and we'll have a nice chat, and we'll laugh and we'll laugh and we'll laugh at Trump's weirdly shaped tombstone. Because, you know, they're going to have 24-hour guards on that thing forever. Not going to be good. You know how people go to Jim Morrison's gravesite and they pour like bourbon or like lick joints at it or something like that? I'm assuming there'll be a raw sewage version of that for Trump when he, of natural causes, shuffles off this mortal coil and all the extraneous skin that was left behind after his Ozempic overdose. And he'll have a urinal-shaped tombstone. He might be the first. Always clogged. And it'll be just off the first hole of a shitty golf course someplace. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Hit that like, everybody. Come on. All right, did we stay up on Substack at least for the rest of the show? Damn, we did. Good. Thank you, guys. Hitting those hearts. Thank you so much, Substack. I added my show on Substack to my notes. Okay. I guess I got to do that from now on. I just roll back and watch it. It'll be here. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, mods. Oh, look, you guys. Thank you so much.